Guys came out and really pulled the trigger on it. Had some big power runs. The limp point seems to be that 3/4 mile mark. Everybody seems to have a hold on it till then. And if the bike or car is going to tell you anything, it seems like it'll tell you at the 3/4 mile mark, because that's seems to be the jump off the driving board, if you will. So again, we're keeping our eye on the starting areas. The track has been cleared. We're waiting for someone to go into the lanes. If you do want to make a pass today, this might be an ideal time to just get up there and go do it, because there's very few vehicles in line right now. You should be able to get a quick pass in if you want to take a shot at it. Matt Drucker coming up for a half-mile pass on a Yamaha out of Coal Valley, Illinois. Want to thank Matt for coming over and running with us. Going through a kind of I don't want to call it a rookie orientation. It's not, because you're definitely not a rookie. But they to run events like this, they do make you go through an orientation where you get used to the vehicle, whether it be a 4- or 2-wheel, and you run distances. His distance to run today before he shuts off will be a half-mile run, we understand. And at the half mile, he went a 151.261. At the end of the mile, he went a 130, so he backed off of it at the half mile like he was supposed to. At the 3/4 mile, he had gone a 140, so let's get back to you. Half mile 151, 3/4 mile 140, and the mile 130.890. Out of Coal Valley, Illinois, Matt Drucker. Just ready to clear on the course, waiting to see who's going to be coming out next. Drucker just finished his run, a good 130 with his shot on his practice run, if you will. Jennifer Wells coming out now. Plymouth, Michigan. It's a 214 Mustang. I believe it's first opportunity I've had to see Jennifer. I don't know if she ran yesterday. Don't remember. Let's see what's going to happen. This number she's laying down: half mile 163, 3/4 of a mile to 147, 114. So that tells me she was running for a half mile driver orientation run. Hit the 163, then backs down to a 147 to a 114 to get through her orientation run on that. So. Jennifer, good job, looking good. Car looked good. She was handling it all the way through, so we look to see her later on in the afternoon running a little bit quicker. You know, it's kind of neat around here. How much you want to run is kind of up to you, is what I'm seeing. There's a lot of land speed deals. You kind of set in line for a long, long time. But this one, and I think because the promoters and producers of the event are racers themselves, they realize what it's like sitting in those long lines. It's not a lot of fun, we understand that, but they want to get you through here as quickly as possible, as safely as possible. So that's kind of what we're all about, trying to get this thing going. But you want to run, all you got to do is get in the lane. They'll put you on the other end. R.D. Wardrop coming up now out of Texas City, Texas. He'll be driving a Mercedes. Oh, yeah, he was out yesterday, man. And he had to ride he made a run. This is a street vehicle. Made a run at a 175.644. Today he goes a 143, a 157, and a 169. First run today at the mile, 169.779. Goes a 176, so he was going for that 1.25 miles. He goes at 176 in the mile and a quarter, 194. 176, 194 at the mile and a quarter. The mother load mile was a 169.779. All the way from Texas City, Texas. Thanks a lot for coming and being with us, RD. And let's go back to the starting line and see who we got coming there next. Course is clear for Martin. Let's see. Martin Miner comes out of St. Paul, Missouri. 32 Ford Roadster. You old hot rod guys. This is one of your guys. You'll be able to hear him, too. He's a hot rodder, man. They like to make a lot of noise. And some of these guys with turbos and stuff like that, you can actually hear them pushing the wind. This rascal just sounds like a hot rod coming at you, buddy, making a lot of noise with a big smile on his face. Martin Miller, St. Paul, Missouri. Listen to this. Mile 189.833. Mile time 189.833. Mile and a quarter 146.199. So let's go down his schedule. He went a half mile at a 161, 3/4 at a 179, the big mile to 189, backed it off to a 146 for the mile and a quarter. So they got the little roaster going good today. That had to be a good ride. Going down there in an open car, man, the wind hitting you and having a good time, a little beautiful day, sun shining on you. That's what this must be America. So Martin Miller doing a great job out of Missouri with his little roadster. You couldn't ask for a better day today. Everything's looking super. The track itself, of course, phenomenal. The track crew's taking care of it. I was talking to some of the crew members earlier, and one of the things unique about this sport is you don't get to run on the same surface you ran on like every week. And that's why a lot of people can make books on their racetrack. You hear people referring to, well, the book at this track, and we went back to the book to check this or that, the other. Well, this sport's not that way because they have to go on and actually build a track every time you go to run one of these events. And that's kind of a lot of pressure on these guys to build you a good track, and they want to build you a good and a safe one. Brian Brooks, 99 Chevrolet Corvette will be coming out. He's from Virginia, Irvington, Virginia, he calls home. Okay, Brooks, we're going to give you his numbers. This run. 1911 shuts down. Okay, 3/4 of a mile, we didn't get anything there. Half mile, we went a 155. 3/4 of a mile, 166. And the mile, a 171. He's got a little Corvette going good for him. The mile was a 171, was his quick time of the afternoon. Half mile, 155. 3/4 of a mile, 166. 1 mile, 171. So all the way over from the right coast of America, Virginia. Glad to have him with us. We appreciate Brian. Appreciate you coming and running with us, bud. Come back and be with us anytime. So 166, but he was pushing for that mile and a quarter. He went a 171 there. So a lot of these guys this morning are going, they're not going for the mile, they're going for the mile and a quarter. I don't know if it's because it's cooler or what. As we get ready for Brian Brooks to come out, he may just finish his run with the numbers I just gave you, the 166.082 for the mile itself. I understand today they're going to be having food and everything for us, so just hang around. We'll get you up to date on that. Don't forget to pick up some T-shirt and the goodies and see what's going on. Might be a real good time to do it. Not a lot of lines and crowds right now, but the tempo is going to pick up, as will the congestion a little bit. David Cole coming out now. Metawawa, Illinois. Boy, got a ride going. Half mile, 197. 3/4, 207. Mile time, 213.169. Mile and a quarter time, 215.931. David Cole, Kawasaki, out of Illinois, looking good there. He, another one that's going out the back door. Yesterday, these guys were not running past that mile mark. Today, they're running hard past the mile mark, and they're all picking up good speed in that next quarter of a mile. But the mile time he was looking for on the Arkansas mile was the 213.169. What we're doing right now, we have to keep an eye on this stuff because at this particular time, you don't mess with Mother Nature, right? We all know that. But the way the sun is, the angle of the sun and everything, it could have a tendency to kind of booger the clocks a little bit and give us some weird times. So we're trying to keep an eye on that. And in a few minutes, that'll all pass as the old Earth turns and everything. But Steve Stroops wants to make sure that we keep everything accurate, and that's exactly what we're trying to do. But right now, we're trying to keep reflection of the sun away from tripping some of the clocks before the vehicles go through or after the vehicles go through. Fella made a lot of runs yesterday afternoon on his little Suzuki. Nader Aberezny, I believe, is out of Iowa. And Washington, Iowa, he calls home. He had a time on that run of a 169.587 at the mile. 169.587. Yeah, yesterday he went a 178 in the same distance, so he needs to kind of look back and see what's going on. It was a good mile an hour for the mile and a quarter. That was his best in the mile and a quarter. That was a 171.723, but Nader is getting it done what it needs to take. And again, I want to talk to you guys out there. I apologize if I mispronounce some of your names. I'm from the South, and I talk a little bit different than a lot of people. But when you see me walking through the pit area, don't hesitate to kind of pull me over and help me with the enunciation of your name. And again, I definitely want to make sure that I do the best I can in giving you the acknowledgement you need. And this guy came out yesterday and made a bunch of runs for us out in Iowa and did a real good job. Dylan Tate on a Kawasaki is trying to get ready to make his shot. Yesterday he made a run of 230. Excuse me, I stand corrected. Yesterday he was getting dialed in on it. He had gone a 231 at the mile and a quarter. So let's see what we can do today. Just listen to this. Mile time, 261. Mile time 219, 219, I stand corrected, 219 at the mile, 138, 219, 138 at the mile, a 226.415 at the mile and a quarter. That's what I was talking about. The sun kind of can bounce around. I mean, the computer's got to come back and get itself in line to make sure we get the right numbers for you. So at the mile, Dylan had a 219 going for him, 226 at the mile and a quarter. Of course, it's clear for the next competitor. Paul Taka comes out now. Hey, this guy was reading a riot act to everybody. The biggest problem he had yesterday, at 100 mile an hour, he went into it and still was hazing the tires. It's 2019 Dodge Hellcat Red Eye out of Minnesota, Longsdale. And the biggest problem he has is it just keeps breaking loose on him. The horsepower it makes. Listen to this. Nope, something went away on him. Just goes to 147 in the half-mile traps and the 133, so he's backing on the throttle. But it's really strange. We're announcing to you from the end of the track, and you can actually hear these fellas coming at you. You hear them pushing the wind. You hear that bah, 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 bah sound, and you hear the wind being pushed before you actually hear the motors on a lot of these cars that run through exhaust systems, like some of the hot rods and stuff like that. You can hear the motors much quicker because they're just the sound's available better. But on some of these guys in these later model cars, you can just hear them pushing that air, and it makes a real weird sound. It's kind of a wah, 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 as it runs down the track. So Tracker, not the run he wanted to. He'll take the big red-eye Hellcat back and get squared away and be ready to go with us, I'm sure, on another run later in the afternoon. What they're doing now, the word we get, they got somebody who wants to go out and check the 3/4 mile mark. The sun again, I told you, the way it's positioning and everything, it'll have a tendency to bounce off or reflect and trip a light. And what they're trying to do is go out, and right now we've got about 3 runs. We're at the 3/4 mile mark. We've had that scenario pop up. We're still getting good times at the half mile. We were getting times, but we're not sure they were that good at the 3/4 mile. The mile times were standing good. So somebody's going to go out and check the 3/4 mile area clocks to make sure they're doing okay. Hey, I hope everybody's doing good today. Got a great day going for us. We're glad to have you with us. And, man, tremendous. If anybody's never been to Blytheville, Arkansas, you need to come down here if you're going to or through Memphis and see this community. It's a great little community. It's kind of a unique community. And the facility that we're on right now, one time it's had the United States government had it, and then they got it over to the local people of Blytheville, and it's used as a maintenance center for Delta Airlines and America Airlines. And you ever wonder where these airplanes go when they're through using them? This is where they wind up in Blytheville. It's kind of a neat place to be, but a lot of Southern hospitality here. All the racers love coming and racing here because they're appreciated, and we appreciate the community and their acceptance of us, and I hope this event can just continue to go and grow. My name's Army Armstrong. I'm a new guy to this sport. I've been around a lot of different sports, but I kind of got back in motorsports when I heard about this. I talked to Steve Strepp, and he was excited about it. His wife, CJ, was too, and had a chance to look and visit and so on and so forth. But this sport very easily could be the coming motorsport of the future because it's affordable. You kind of rules don't dictate how much you have to spend on your vehicle to compete. You dictate what you want to do and what you want to spend and how fast you want to go. And no, not everybody's going to be a world record holder at X or Mach 1 or whatever, but you can go out there and have fun and set a national or a world record. And you can't do that in any other kind of motorsports. As a matter of fact, on this course, this weekend, you can set on one run, you can set 2 records. You can set a mile record, and you can set a 1.25 mile record. The only exception to that is the event that's held out in New Mexico, where you can make a run and you can actually set 3 records on one run. You can set a mile, 1.25 miles, and 1.5 miles. So that makes the sports kind of unique. And again, it doesn't take the big corporate deep pockets to get involved in. You can come out here if you just want to have fun and play with the vehicle and like to go fast. I think you need to look at this sport. It's a doable deal. It really is. A good place to bring your family. The ladies get involved and support everything. And, I'm sold on it. My first time was yesterday, and I guarantee you I've been around and seen a whole lot over the years. And I loved them all and had a great time. But this, I think I'm looking at the future here right now. And I think the future looks good with the East Coast Timing Association doing their thing. Steve Strapp and his wife, CJ, doing an outstanding job of working on this. A lot of volunteers working to make this event happen. Majority of the people here are volunteers, as a matter of fact. They come from all over the country to do what they do best to help put on a good show for you. And we do hope you appreciate it. If you see anybody walking around, they're volunteering, just kind of give them a big thank or pat on the back or whatever, because it just, kind of like takes a city to raise a child. It takes a whole bunch of people to run a race like this. So stay tuned. We'll be getting back in touch with you. Right now, we're kind of in a hold situation. want to remind everybody about competition camps. Man, they've been around for a long, long time in Memphis, Tennessee. Provide some of the finest, provide the best racing equipment, camshafts. They do a lot of head work, cranks, and so on and so forth. It's when I say comp cams, everybody knows who we're talking about, and we do appreciate brothers and the crew over there for all they've done for motorsports in general. I'm serious. I mean, man, these guys can put their money and time and energy and effort in a lot of different directions. We appreciate them looking at us and hopefully developing a good working relationship. They, along with the fine people out of Bowling Green, Kentucky, with the Holly Corporation. And we'll be talking about other sponsors later who have been involved in the sport and making it grow. But it's about making you happy and letting you have a good time in a safe atmosphere. That's what this sport's about. We'll be getting back in touch with you in just a second. Right now, they're checking the clocks at the 3/4 mile. Half mile time of 177.7. 3/4 mile. Looks like a, let's see, we're trying to get a number to come up. We're getting some more bounce off the sun on our clocks out there. We did get a time at the half mile mark. Okay, we're trying to get some, okay, at mile mark comes up a 193.966. A mile and a quarter. Everybody's pushing that mile and a quarter mark today. 196.078. Yesterday, very few people pushed past the mile. They just wanted to get there. Today, they've got the mile. They're going past it. But the 3/4 mile mark, we're still kind of getting shadows or spooks, if you call them, on the clocks at the 3/4 mile mark. That particular run was a 193.966 at the mile mark for Tim out of Greer, South Carolina on a Suzuki. How about you? Of course, it's clear. One of the things, again, I want to bring to your attention, because you can hear the sport. These guys on these motorcycles, they'll run they'll run on a mile track. They'll run through all their gears on the first half mile, and then listen to them. They'll keep that sucker in high gear for the last half of the mile. And it just sounds like they're sitting on top of a time bomb from where we're sitting. Because the way they wind those engines, I know those engines got to have a lot of RPMs in them, but man, not with me sitting on top of them. I'm not going that many RPMs. And there's not enough leather in the world between me and my flesh to get on one of these things today. Who we got coming out now, it looks like it's going to be Bruce Warren, a Cadillac. Yeah, Warren's out of Michigan. Watch this guy. Drove it down here on the streets and goes a 200 mile an hour in a streetcar that he brought his family to the races in. Bruce, one of the nicest guys you're ever going to meet. Had an opportunity to meet him at the last venue down here. The half mile was a 170. It's 3/4 mile, 188. The mile right at dead, 200.669. Mile and a quarter, 177. And they had to take the kids' diapers out of the back of the vehicle to make the run. That's how much of a streetcar that baby is. It's a Cadillac. And big motor Cadillac. A lot of the Michigan guys came down this week. We appreciate them coming and being with us. They and their girls and wives and what have you. And I hope you're having a good time and enjoying some of the southern hospitality you get down here in Blytheville, Arkansas. Vitelli just made a shot at a 189.0636. I stand corrected. I apologize. I understand I had a problem with the mic, and but he made a run. Had a 202 at the 3/4 mile market. Something went away on him, and he'll have to come back and check on that a little bit later. He made some runs yesterday, so I know he'll be able to get back and make some more shots. And Mar Harness coming out now in the 16 Corvette. Hometown, we're trying to work and get squared away on him. Got a run going. He sets it up now about the half mile mark. 3/4. Half mile was 1:58. 3/4 was a 169. Mile mark was a 173. So we had a run going for him. Backs it down to 145. So he was just going for the mile to 173. Now, I'll tell you one thing we would like for you to do is you come through tech inspection or in the future when you ever have time. In your package you get for entries, we request information on you, and we really would appreciate if you take the time to fill that out. I know you don't want to sit there and write stuff about you. That's just kind of human nature, but let us know who you are, where you're from, where you went to school, what your wife's name is, what kind of car you're running, what kind of racing you've been doing over the years. Tell us just a little bit about you, so that we can tell the people that are watching when you make your run a little bit about you. So if you want to talk about your sponsors, talk about them. Just let us know what you think would be interesting that we could announce over the PA out of the Delaware driver, Ben McGaggerton, I believe it is, a 220 Yico Camaro. 179. Boy, he's getting there. He 170. He had some problems yesterday, but he goes to 179 right at a tick off of 180. So he's going in the right direction. Half mile mark with the 155. The 179, I think, is the best run he's made so far this weekend. I think he made 2 runs yesterday, and just couldn't get the top end on the work on the car for him. But the Delaware driver figured it out, and had a good run going for him. So let's see what's going to happen later on today with Ken. Come back up, course is clear again, is Adam Hognett in a modified sprint car. This is a 2007 sprint car, special construction. It's actually a USAC chassis approved car. He's out of Hayes, Virginia. He and his dad go racing. They're involved in drag racing as well as mile racing. Talked to them yesterday, and they may be kind of switching over everything into the mile side of it. They seem to like everybody and everything. They got the equipment, they got the stuff hanging on the garage. Why not go and see what's going on? But this is a 2-type chassis sprint car, short wheelbase, no more than 103 inches, I don't believe. Small block Chevy injected. The weird thing is just a 2-speed transmission. And that's a hindrance to this car as he makes his run down the track, not getting a really mile an hour he wants. But a 91.86, pulling the parachute behind him. That's got to be hurting. The pilot chutes have come out. No time at the 3/4 mile, goes 100.705, and he drug his pilot chutes all the way down the track. So you know that definitely had to hurt him. Main chute didn't come out. The pilot chutes did. So you live and you learn. So Adam and his dad to get back, get things squared together, get that sprint car back in the lanes. I'm sure they're capable of going more than that 100.705 time. I want to thank all the crew from Jasper Motors, motor manufacturing and remanufacturing engine and transmission. We understand they have a transmission plant located close to us here. I appreciate their representatives coming over and talking to us. If you're interested in any type of engine rebuilding, industrial or what have you, and they'll even do specialty motors for you. Keep in mind, Jasper Engines, located in Jasper, Indiana. Look them up. You can see them anywhere around. And around here somewhere, I understand, their transmissions are built rather locally. So support the local guys and do a good job, and support those that help support our sport. Jasper has always done that, specializing in fleet rebuilding with guarantees. Right now on the track, Vance Kirshner out of Delaware. Dodge Challenger, here's the guy we were talking about. Had some mile an hour awesome yesterday. Mile goes to 190.769. in the mile, 190.76 mile. Now, he pushed it out to that mile and a quarter at 198.456. So we're picking up our times now. A 161 at the half, a 178 at three-quarter. The mile, a 190.759. Mile and a quarter pushed out to the end of the thing at a 198.456. Based out of Delaware, we appreciate Vance coming over and running with us. Now, it's really funny on the manufacturer side. It looks like it's heavy Chevrolet. We got some heavy-hitting Fords coming through here this weekend. Dodge showed up with not that many cars in numbers, but boy, they showed up in strength. And he's an example of it right there. That's one thing that's interesting about this sport. Whatever you want to run, you can come and run it and do whatever you want to with it. And that's where I believe the 060s drag racing philosophy type comes in. Everything gets together. Everybody has a good time. Cody Bellamy now comes out now from Huntsville, Alabama, makes a run with the Chevy Corvette. Half mile 158, quarter mile 176, mile at 184. Good run. See if he pushed it past it. Yeah, 191 for the mile and a quarter. So again, he's another one of those guys pushing past the mile for the mile and a quarter. And you know you got to, I'm figuring how you would gear on that. Where you put your gear in? Would you go a tire size, height and the tire, wheel tire size combination, transmission? There's different ways you can pick that up. But the ideal scenario any other time would just be to hit your peak at that mile mark. He hit it at a mile and a quarter. So he can kind of tweak it in and pull it in. And I'm sure before the day's over, Cody out of the Huntsville area will definitely get a job going. John Kitchum comes out now out of Torrance Park, Ohio, on 75 Norton. Don't see very many Nortons around. And the Terrace Park, Ohio rider does his thing. I don't believe I had a chance to see him yesterday. I'm not real sure. Like I say, sitting down at the end of the track, all we can see is a little blur go by and maybe a little bit of a number somewhere, and it gets some good sound. But here he comes. He's got a run going for him now. We're going to pick him up for you. 105 at the half mile. He goes a three-quarter mile. He picked it up to a 110. See what he picks up in a mile. At Norton's got a unique sound down to 110.024. Actually lost 400s between the three-quarter mile and the mile. It goes to 100.626. So man, he had a 105 at the half, a 110 at the quarter, a 110 at the mile, a 1 flat at the mile and a quarter. So John's doing a good job. We appreciate him coming over from Ohio. Nice little drive down here. You know something every racer ought to do, and I've talked to people all over the country and worked with all kind of different racers, and you tell them this, and they go, nah, not me. You guys ought to sit down and write a book. So I'm thinking what I just told you there. Sit down and write a book, and then everybody goes, no. And then back up and look at how many people you know, how many places you've been, how much stuff you've seen, who you've shared with, the friendships you make, and leave that book to your kids. And I guarantee you, it'll open up memories that you completely forgot you had. It's really an interesting thing to do. But just sit down when you're going home and just get you a school spiral notebook paper thing and start writing about what you did. And it'll really surprise you, and it'll really bring back a lot of good memories and a lot of good friendships and a heck of a lot of good times. Don't ever think it's not cool to write a book. Kildoffer coming out now. Goes down and goes to 163 at the half, a 180 at the three-quarter, but backs it down to a 157. So he was having some problems at the end of that run in high gear. He goes from a three-quarter mile time of 180 down to a mile time of 157. Richard Hayden out of Gainesville, Texas is going to be coming out next. We saw him yesterday a couple of times. Got this little Ford GT, buddy. It's a It's a hook 'em horns thing for all you guys from Texas. Okay, this guy's a bad hombre. It's a 2024 GT 500. Gainesville, he calls home. Richard Hayden's his name. And we're going to get some information or some time on him in just a second, get the track cleared, get him going. Don't forget the concession stands are open. Stop over and get you something to eat. I don't know if they got the food cooking going yet, but you'll know they're going to fire up them grills and that old Southern fried smell of food going to be floating through there. It's going to be a good time for everybody. Hayden comes through. He goes to 159 at the half, 174 to 3/4. Bingo, 182.186 at the mile. 182.186 at the mile time for Hayden out of Gainesville, Texas. Okay, people in the pit area, we need you to listen to this. Everybody in the pit area, listen to this. Around any congested area, 15 mile an hour, period. No exceptions. Any congested area, 15 mile an hour in the pit area. Come on, guys, let's all use our heads. Be smart about this. 15 mile an hour when there's anybody around you and you're moving your vehicle. Any exceptions, there will be no exceptions to that. We understand from the security people, they will not, there's no tolerance on that. It's all about safety, and you understand it. Just work with us on it. But again, maximum 15 mile an hour movement in that pit area with your vehicle. Thanks a lot. Everything's off and running. We're looking good today. T-shirt stands are open. Be sure to stop by and pick up and get you some T-shirts to show you're part of all the East Coast action. As we came to Blytheville, they were here in July. It says pretty warm. But man, this is perfect weather right here. This is perfect weather right now. And we appreciate all the vehicles that have come to be with us. Well over 100 vehicles have showed up for this event so far, and we have more that are coming in, I understand. So thanks so much for coming and supporting this event. As Nader makes another shot through, he goes to 158, 166. He got that mile at a 171. So let's see. I'm trying to go back and check. We got some information on him. He got a 178. He's gone to 178 on a mile before. He goes to 171 this time. He did have a quicker mile and a quarter time. He went to 173 this run on a mile and a quarter. His previous fast was a 171.723. Again, one of these guys trying to pick up both ends of both the national records for the mile and the mile and a quarter. Chris Wells comes out now from Plymouth, Michigan. Chevy Corvette. We got a clear course. Wells will be the next to go on the track out of Michigan in the Corvette. His best half so far is a 193. His best, let's see what he can do there. His best mile is a 263. The 193 at the first. Let's see what he does. We'll compare it right now. Best was 193, go to 190, so he's 3 down. 149 at the next night. He's backed on it. Had to pull in. And you're making a real sweet turn coming around the corner down here. So Chris not able to get, probably indication of a missed shift right there. What happened, because he had good mile an hour going at the half mile mark, but it went away on him real too quick, as a matter of fact. So Wells out of Michigan in the Chevrolet Corvette will have to go back, take care of business, and get back in like Elvis used to say, TCB, taking care of business back in that pit area. You guys, staging lanes are open. You want to make a run, it's up to you to decide when you want to go into those lanes. It's supposed to heat up just a little bit this afternoon. As far as you engine tuners, this is kind of, you guys have got to be the happiest guys in the world. You got good temperature, you got good air, clean air, and a good surface to run on. So it could definitely be a horsepower day for you all. Jason McDonald out of McKinney, Texas. Boy, these Texas guys load both barrels coming after this thing today. He goes a 197.585. 197.585. But look at this backdoor time. It goes a 199.380 at the mile and a quarter. So the mile time of 197. Mile and a quarter at a 199. Definitely a gear change right there to get that thing going for him back in the pit area. Again, these guys, they'll take these rascals to a half mile and then they'll just wind them. Like a rubber band, you don't want your buddy to tighten up on you. Because, man, when they go through this top end, they are just eking this thing out. So, Jason, good job. McKinney, Texas native, looking good at that 197. Big number for him was a 199 out the back door. So Steve and CJ Strupp, excuse me, you see them walking through the pit area, kind of give them a pat on the head. They've done a real good job. They work awfully hard. The old saying, the harder you work, the luckier you get. Well, these are lucky people. We're all lucky to have the friends we have in this sport, and we're so glad to be involved in promoting the sport and taking it to a larger market to get more people involved in it, and everybody wants to have fun. That's what I really like about this. Brian Brooks makes a shot out of Virginia in his Corvette. Half mile 136, 3/4 to 152. Mile 163, good number. You see if he goes out the back door with it. Yeah, he went out the back door with a 167.879. 80% of the cars and trucks that have gone through today did not do what they're doing today. Today they're going through the mile, kind of like a glass. You're trying to break through the glass, so they go through the mile, that's the glass, and try to push it out the other end with the quarter mile they've got. And remember yesterday telling you about how these guys are not shifting after the half mile? They're not. And even when they go through the mile, they go another quarter of a mile without shifting. There ought to be tachometer needles out there hanging all over the track somewhere because, man, these guys are really winding these puppies up. Ryan Hoffman getting ready to take his shot. Shelby GT, a 1010 Shelby GT 500. On the track right now, Brian Huffman making a shot. He's got one going for him. Look at this. He's knocking it down. 173 at the half, 202 at the 3/4. Again, goes away, and then 185. No man's land, it went away. Boy, that's a tough break. 173 at the half. At the quarter, he had a 202. Okay, we got a mile time on it now. He goes a 225. There it is. That's what he's looking for. A 225.169. So again, it's taking us just a few seconds to get the timing back because we're playing with the sun, trying to make calculation and adjust for it. But his times were a 173, a 202, and the bingo time of a 225. Way to go, Brian. Brian Hoffman scheduled out next with the Ford Shelby GT 500. Some of the runs Brian has made, I'm checking it out here, is the best mile time is a 2:16.450. That's he made a mile shot yesterday at a 2:16.450. So Brian definitely got a good number car there. We got to wait and get it clear from the track, but he's scheduled to be the next in line. Yeah, I bet that crop duster flying around is having a lot of fun today. He was yesterday, just watching everybody. He's got the best seat in the house. Them old boys, they work for a living. It looks like fun, but boy, they're right on the deck of that thing, putting the crops, keeping them safe so we can feed the world. Everybody working together. Crop dusters, farmers, manufacturers, everybody working in America to help feed the world, and you're part of it. Again, be advised and put the word out, 15 mile an hour, no faster, 15 mile an hour in the pit area or anywhere there's any type of congestion. Any people around you, just be cool. Everybody knows how to do this. Let's just do it. Don't mess up a good thing. Let's just have a good, safe afternoon of motorsports here at Blytheville, Arkansas. Brought to you by the East Coast Timing Association. Steve Strupp and his lovely wife working awfully hard to make this happen, and put together a bunch of people to come down here and work with us. Some of these volunteers are fantastic. Like I said, they have to, wherever they put on a show, they got to start from zero, from scratch, from nothing, and put these tracks in and get the measurements in, the timing equipment in. It's not an easy job, and I appreciate all the volunteers that have come down and worked with us. That part of the sport's kind of like a big family too. Everybody kind of works together and helps and brings their kids, and kind of, it's just kind of a neat thing. And being from the old school, back in the 60s, this is the way drag racing was back then, the 60s and 70s, where everybody kind of pitched in and helped out for big money, kind of ruined that sport. I hate to see happen. I love it, but I hate to see that happen. And I hope it'll never happen in this sport, because you can kind of pick and choose at the level you wish to compete. And you don't have to be a millionaire, but you can have $1 million worth of fun. I don't care if you're riding a 350 Honda scooter. If you got a smile on your face at the end of the day, that's what we're all about. So don't forget to stop by and pick up a t-shirt, show what you're all about. Strep and his family are doing a good job, and they want to welcome you. My name's Army Armstrong. I'm proud to be working, announcing. This is my first time at a particular event like this, and I'm very impressed with it. I've been involved in motorsports of all kinds for many years, and I think these people have really got something going. I think you folks have really got something going. I actually believe this has the potential to be the next big motorsport, period. Because you can come in at the level you want to, you can compete at the level you want to, and you can enjoy it at the level you want. And I think that's important. That's the way, not a lot of pressure, not a lot of sanctioned body over your head, putting their thumb on you type deal. It's all about having fun with what you like. And I think it's great that Steve and his wife have picked back up on this and kept the East Coast Timing Association going and making it available to all of us. So if you happen to know Steve or CJ, just kind of pat them on the head, say thank you or what have you, because, man, it goes a long way when you've worked all day long and then you drive all night long taking the equipment home, and then you got to get up the next morning and go to work. About 4 in the morning when the sun's just getting ready to come up, you remember that guy that walked up and said thank you. It does make it worthwhile. So, again, we're one big happy family. We're glad to have you with the East Coast Timing Association. Hope to see you more throughout the history of this sport. And looking forward to see it go and grow. But we've really been impressed with what we've seen here so far. We just received word we do have a clear course. We'll be getting back to running. Hoffman, I believe, is Stephen Whalen is going to be making a shot now on a Buell. Now, this motorcycle has a completely different sound from any of the others. The others, you hear them kind of screaming when they come through. Stephen, with his Buell, it makes a different sound, and you just listen to it. You can tell it's kind of a off-spin of a Harley-Davidson division they came out with a couple of years ago, and this is one of the few guys that have taken this particular motorcycle engine combination and run with it, and let's see what he's going to do. Stephen Whalen's young man's name on the 2008 Buell. He's on the way. Now listen to the shift pattern I was telling you about. At the half mile, he doesn't shift past it. He's winding. .146 at the half, 153 at the three-quarter, 156 at the mile. Goes out the back door to 156.685. Got that old Buell humming. Also, when you come in, if you could help us out, I was talking to you a moment ago about filling out the paperwork and everything like that. I know it's kind of a pain in the bottom and all this kind of stuff, but it's really important to us, and it helps us kind of let people know who you are and what's going on. But one of the things I'm really interested in and where you're from, because we can tell stories and talk about people and stuff we know from different areas in the country, and just let us know that if nothing else, make sure anything else you want to know, make sure you put your hometown and state and everything on there so we can kind of talk about that, make you a hero if you want to, but it does help us a lot. The more information you can give us, the more information we can pass on to the public, and that's the way we're going to sell the sport. Right now, to Ponder, Texas comes out Stephen Bucamp, excuse me, in a 99 Chevy truck, a little white Chevy truck. Well, this guy gets down in thunders. This is one of those NASCAR trucks they modified and brought over, and it sets on that ground, believe me. You can hear the thunder roar when it goes by. The pipes come out the side of this thing. It's got a little rumble sound to it, so let's just kick back and listen. Half mile was a 125. Three quarters at a 130. 138. The truck, excuse me, he goes to 138, making some weird sounds. It almost sounded like he may have had a 5-speed transmission or a 6-speed in that car, but the truck, it sounded like he was making some shifts, but when he went past the 1.25 miles, it was still making sounds like he was shifting. I know he didn't have that many gears in it, so something was causing that motor to rev up. Yesterday, on his final run, he had clutch problems, and that may be what he's got going for him now, but you could hear the RPMs come up on the engine, and he wasn't mile an hour anymore, so he may still have something in that drivetrain that's just not right for him. That was Steve Birchman out of Ponder, Texas. Kind of going through the paperwork here. Some of the new guys coming in. It says Richardson and David Saylor, and out of Louisville, Kentucky. They showed up. Diamond Racing. Trying to just go through some things, some paperwork. I want to thank their crew, Terry Sweet and David Saylor, for helping. I raced with the East Coast for 7 years. Fastest speeds of 147 mile an hour. Out of Virginia now, we got Jay Bell. He made the call. Mike Losh getting ready to make his shot on the line. Mike Wheeler out of Colorado Springs, Colorado. He's going to be running with us today, along with Lon Homnet out of Hazel Green, Alabama. And out of Georgia, Augusta, Georgia. Debbie Lambert makes the call. So a lot of people coming in, and Jennifer Jo Cobb, she was here yesterday out of Kansas City. She's racing over in Talladega today. But just kind of let you know the people that are running with us, and we do appreciate each and every one of you coming and being with us. Hope you have a good weekend. Mike goes through half mile to 177, 3/4 to 186. He hit the mile marker at a 192, and he went a 195 out the back door at a 1.25 miles. Mile marker at a 192.555. Mike made quite a few runs yesterday. Kind of neat bearings on the bike when you're watching. We kind of get we identify you guys in different ways and gals in different ways. The stance of the car, the sound of the car, height of the car is really, you notice that a lot because we're looking at you from a long distance away. The sound of the car is it's really neat listening to some of these things coming at you. It's just amazing what they sound like. Meanwhile, we got our air show going on, the starting line area. You got a crop duster if they're working. Of course, it's been cleared for the next. Right now, the track's been cleared. We're trying to verify and authenticate the next vehicle scheduled to come out. Los just made his run, like we say, at the 192, so he knows he can get the job done. A little bit of wind coming, just a tick of wind coming. I don't know the mile on it. Just a couple of mile an hour. You're running into it today. Yesterday, you're running with it. Today, the wind looks like you're running into it just a little bit. Right now, what we're doing is trying to verify the vehicle on the line. There's a lot of cross-checking going on here. We got to make sure that your number is legible on your vehicle. Okay, that will help you a whole lot and help us a ton too. So check your vehicle. If it's put on there with shoe polish or whatever, make sure the number's legible and is the correct number. Because when you go, it's a process, and you go through, we got to clear the track, then we got to go to the starting line, we got to check with them, and they got to check and make sure you're the right number. Then they come back to us and let us know. Then we go back to our computer and put you in it. So there's a lot to it, and it really keep things running smooth. If everybody makes sure we can read your number when you go to that starting area, that we can read your number on your vehicle. Thanks a lot for working with us on that. Chris Wells is getting ready to make the call. Mustang 214-year model GT 500 out of Michigan. Excuse me, yeah, Michigan. Michigan, Plymouth, Michigan, he calls home. We saw him a little bit earlier, I believe. It's a 214 Mustang. Once again, crews, you can help us a whole lot to making sure that we know that as Chris makes his run, He's got one going for him here. A 169 at the half, a 140. Now backing up, 145 at the 3/4. Still backing up, a 113 at the mile. So not the run he was looking for. First half was awfully good. Had something going, but it went away on him at that half-mile mark. So Chris Wells have to go back, figure something out, give it the crew. The guys came down from Michigan. A whole bunch of them came together. So even though they're one entered, there's about 15 or 20 guys back there that are willing to, and are helping each other to make their cars go. Is Chris, one of the heavy hitters in that complete group of people, will definitely be able to get back and get in this thing. So 113 at the mile was not at all what he was looking for, because at 169, he was well on his way to a 200+ mile an hour run by being at a 169, high 169, almost to 170 at the half-mile mark. Course has been cleared for the next participant to come down. That'll be Andrew Wydell out of Flemington, Michigan. Every time I hear that town, I think it's Bob Seger and rock and roll. He introduces his band members, and one of them is from Farmington, Michigan. Everybody, that's a cool place. It's a Corvette. It's a Z06. It's a 211 Chevrolet Corvette. Andrew made some passes yesterday. As a matter of fact, yesterday his quickest mile time was a 180 point plus. Got a good one going again today. 152 at the 3/4 mile. We only got him at the 3/4 mile and at the mile and a half. Okay, the mile we got him at a 176. Mile and a half, mile and a quarter, he went a 183. So he again is one of those guys that's running through the mile, through the glass, if you will, through the mile, another quarter of a mile to try to get a record. This time a mile was a 176 for him. He picked up 7 miles an hour after that, so he drove it through the mile to a 183 at the mile and a quarter. Matt Drucker coming out again this morning on a little Yamaha. He's out of Coal Valley, Illinois. Now, this is one thing about this sport that I'm like I say, I'm new to it. I'm still trying to learn it. But I saw a pattern yesterday, and I'm seeing the same pattern come back today. And this morning session is what I'm going to call it. Okay, before noon, as the 177 comes up at a half mile, a 197 at the 3/4. The mile time for him is going to be a 2:05. Bingo! He's in the game at a 2:05.60. That'll get him squared away. I'm sure he's got to be happy with that. Anyway, as the Coal Valley, Illinois rider does his thing, I noticed a group of people. These guys have been almost the same group of people this morning. It's like this is their time. And then I'm wondering if later in the day there'll be another group like this. That's the way it was yesterday. You kind of had we got started, got really going around 1 o'clock. So for a couple hours, you had everybody kind of jumping in, trying to get that first run under the belt, and break the nerves and everything. And then it kind of rounded off. You had the motorcycle guys kind of stuck together, and everybody came and ran and worked together. So they would kind of have their time in the sun, if you will, and then a group of other people would come, and then the motorcycle guys would come back. So that was kind of like a tribe of people. They all stayed in the same area at the same time and raced at the same time. Now, Christopher Burns gets ready to come out of Porter, Texas. We're showing him on a Kawasaki. Now, this guy can lay down some numbers for you. I mean, numbers. Like I told people before, there is not enough leather in the world between my skin and the surface I'm riding on to go 240 plus miles. Here you go. Listen to this. 212 at the half, 226 at the 3/4, and 233 at the mile. And a 230 at the mile and a quarter. So the 233 is what he's looking for. He had gone a 240 yesterday. So he's off 7 mile an hour from yesterday, 6.5 mile an hour from yesterday. So he'll go back and tune and what have you. But that's what racing's all about. The one thing that's weird about the sport now with fuel injection and everything, you guys go back and you get out these computers, and that's the way you tune them. Man, we used to take light and turn and distributors and all this stuff, and it seems a little bit easier today, but you're going a whole lot faster too. RJ Wardrop coming out now from Murfreesboro, Tennessee, over around Middle Tennessee area, just south of Nashville, Tennessee. He's driving the Mercedes E63. Car looks good and stable coming through. No smoke, no nothing. Good run. Nose down attitude. Goes through the traps. 144 at the half, 158 at the three-quarter, 169. Almost got that 170. 169 at the mile. Mile and a quarter goes to 174. So the Murfreesboro, Tennessee native, looking good. Jumped on, what did he come across? I-40, I guess he came across to get here. Let me tell you something. It's a long way from Memphis, Tennessee to the other end of that state. It's an all-day drive. Now, you're going north and south, buddy. You can go through Tennessee in a hurry, but east to west, take your lunch. Speaking of lunch, keep your ears and eyes and your nose and your smelling sense open. We got some fine concessionaires coming in, and they're all going to be cooking their own foods, and they very wisely cook them upwind from everybody, or downwind from upwind, so that you can smell that great smoke and that good southern hospitality and southern cooking going on. Calvin Smith, good friend of mine. He's based out, we're saying the guy's out of Kentucky, I'll tell you that right now. He builds all kind of cars and everything. He's in the sprint car world. He comes from the drag racing world, the custom show car world. As a matter of fact, the first hot rod I ever built, I found out he was the one that actually built it. But he sponsors this car that's running now. And if you want to know anything about racing, this is the guy to talk to. Corvette goes through 173 at the mile. Half miles at 144, three-quarter of a mile at 162. Still pushed into 173 at the mile. Stayed on it. At the mile and a quarter went on 173.22. So I'm wondering if there's a couple of guys here with the same name, Calvin. Because, this one's Calvin Smith, 210. That's what we just saw go through. The one I know, like I say, he's in the Hall of Fame. He's built race car. He's got two cars here, Lacers, they call them. As a matter of fact, both of them are for sale. We'll get a chance to see them run later in the day. If you want to get involved in the sport, you might want to go over and talk to number one. You can talk to Calvin to get a lot of information. He's built both of these cars, so he can help you with anything you want on them. And just kind of keep that in your pipe and smoke it if you might be interested in the sport. I know there's two cars, very competitive in their classes, that are here at this event. Eric Porter is going to be coming up next. He's in the 07 Chevrolet Corvette. He should be running up around the 200 mile an hour. We got guys dancing up there that are running this type of vehicle, a 197, a 209, a 189. So he should be dancing high in at least the 190s to be a number maker in this particular run. Don't believe he's going to get it. He goes like 107 on the half mile, 104 on the three-quarter mile. Stops on the mile at a 97.36. So just kind of dancing his way through, getting used to it, I guess. Eric Porter. Eric, thanks a lot for coming and being with us. Hope you had a good time on that. Guys sitting there listening on the radio, and as soon as they go through the traps, they pop over to Sirius Radio or something like that. It's good old-time rock and roll. But that's, if you're going to play the music loud, it's got to be rock and roll, right? That's the 11th commandment. Y'all didn't know that, did you? I bet I just taught you something. 11th commandment, if you're going to play the music loud, got to be rock and roll. Amen. think we've got Dennis Roach coming up again on the Kawasaki. Course has been cleared. He's on the way. We're going to pump the times up for you. Half was a 171. 3/4 of a mile. 167. Then he bounces back up to a 175. That's strange. Went a 171. He went down to a 167. Back up to a 175. That's a power move there. He goes through the back door at 1.25 miles at a 184. Way to go, Dennis. You found something there that's kind of weird, but it works for you, so whatever it is, keep doing it. If it ain't broke, don't go be fixing it. But to lose 5 miles an hour and then pick up 8 miles an hour, something happened for you right there, and it's way to go, guy. Understand we got a clear course now. David Holl's going to make a shot. It's a little C10 truck, and had some earlier in the day yesterday. Just couldn't get the handle working on it. There's just a little bitty gremlins were kind of haunting him. But late in the afternoon, he put together some good number of runs, and we'll see what he can do for you today. He's in motion. We'll pick him up at the half mile at 112. 3/4 of a mile is going to come up for you. Backed off to a 70. So he's in trouble right now. And then the mile marker, he's not even going to get through yet. I think he'll be pulling off the track. Yeah, at the end of the, right before the mile marker, right in front of the announcer's tower or the timing tower. So not the run he was looking. Had a good run going for a full-body truck. And this looks like one of the trucks you see on TV where they do this. They go to like air ride suspension. Greg and those guys over in Jasper, Indiana, put it together, and that's another new motorsport that's getting popular out there that you can run. You can control your own destiny as far as your financial investment, and it's a fun thing to do. The autocross type things. They get the big parking lots and they go and they run. They turn left and right, speed up, slow down, and everything. But it's good, fun racing. Just like what we're doing here on the mile, you control your own destiny, and I really like that. Michael Keating out of Justin, Texas, comes up next in a Camaro. Now the wind's actually blowing into the drivers today. Yesterday, 180 degrees out. Wind was behind them, pushing them. Today, it's kind of keeping them down. And really, it's amazing. You'd think that would really make a difference. To some degree, it does, but to other degrees, it doesn't. If you aerodynamically, you got that thing set up like he does. Look at that. A 173, a 196 through the mile to a 214. A 214, hard run for the Corvette. Half mile 173, 3/4 mile 196, mile bingo 214 at a 609 at 695. He went that way. Good run for the guy out of Justin, Texas. I bet they make boots over there. What do you think about that? Justin, that'd be a good name for a boot company, wouldn't it? The tire crew up here, they wear kangaroo boots. That's all I know. You got any weird people working up here, folks? Okay, course is clear as Ken McLaughlin coming out now in a 20 Chevy Camaro. Oh, now he's the guy that's working so hard. He's out of Delaware. He's working so hard yesterday to get this car running right. And he had it going, man. He had the first half all figured out, but man, the last half, the bottoms just seemed to fall out of it until late in the afternoon. He really got a good run going for him, and that kind of got him fired up a bit. I'm anxious to see what he does today. Out of Wilmington, Delaware, he looks good right now, doesn't he? Look, a 159. That's one of the best he's done at that point. At the 3/4 mile. He goes to 193. He's got to be happy as can be. At the 3/4 miles, 180, so he went from 59 to an 80 to a 90, 193. So he was making power at the end, and then he goes to 184 out the back door. So I think old Ken's going to be sitting there smiling right now because they've worked hard to get there, but they're there. They're right at that 200-mile-an-hour barrier, and I bet they came over here to go 200 mile an hour with that Camaro. Just imagine that's the vehicle they're going to be using for advertising when they bunch that 200 mile an hour record. Garrett Patterson's going to be coming out next with this is the car that all you guys used to see when we were in high school, and I do want you to know it is course is clear out of Tallapoosa, Georgia. It's one of these things it's a Crown Vicky, that's right, Ford Crown Vicky. They do come without police lights on them, but most police stations had them all around the world for years. This is probably one of the last years they made this. I know the Ford quit manufacturing this type of a vehicle because only police and FBI and people like that use the vehicle. Now everybody's going to the SUVs. But if this old Crown Vicky could talk, I bet it could tell some stories. Out of Georgia, let's see what he's going to come up with. 108 at the 1/4 mile. 117, he's picking it up at the 3/4. At the mile, you got to be happy. A 124. What do you say, man? And he pushed it out the back door, see if he went through that 1.25 miles. He did at a 127. So it had the old Super Trooper hustling through there, buddy. He was looking good. Appreciate the George and Eddie coming over and being with us, Gerald. Making headway, buddy. You got to be happy. Congratulations to you and the crew. Holly, got to keep them in mind. For any of your performance needs, keep the name Holly in mind, along with comp cams. Two of the greatest names in motorsport you're going to hear. Comp cams manufactured in Memphis, Tennessee. Yeah, right in your own backyard. A lot of great racing components come out of that area and have over the years, but none better than Competition Count. Keep them in mind for all your needs and high-performance equipment no matter what you do. Your sprint car racing, your drag racing, your boat racing, your distance racing, your hill climbing, whatever. Comp cams, they can make the horsepower for you. As far as fuel injection goes, when everybody's going to it, Holly carburetors, Harvey fuel injection system. They also carry lines such as Earl's Plumbing, the braided line. They carry the hooker header name and everything like that. Based out of Bowling Green, Kentucky, they'll be more than happy to take care of any of your performance needs. Kirshner goes through the traps, half mile to 162, 3/4. Hey, this guy's doing good. 3/4 at 178, and then he picks it up again at 189. Get that, a 189 at the mile for the Dodge Challenger, little demon. A 197 at the 1.25 miles. So he's going, look at that. He's going 10 mile an hour to each increment's better. 162, 178, 189, and a 197. That Dodge was pulling all the way through that course, and it wasn't laboring at all. It was just amazing. So Vance Kirshner really got that Challenger running good. That's neat to see a guy. He's got that thing so dialed in, it was 10 mile an hour at every point. Half, 162, 3/4, 178. A mile, 189, 1.25 miles, 197. That's consistency. Don't forget to stop by registration area over there. Pick up a T-shirt, hat, poster, pen. They got free stickers. That helps anything. Girls, you got to get something for your boyfriends for Christmas. You get free stickers for his toolbox. And trying to help the old gift situation there. But stop over and visit with the crew over there. Brittany and Kaylin, Nicole, and Lacey are working, doing a great job. If you got any questions, I'd be happy to work for you. They too are volunteers working with our organization. We appreciate them being there. But just stop by and visit with them, see what's going on, and pick you up some swag, they call it. I don't know where the name swag came from, but rock and roll band started that years ago. It's got to mean something. I'm not really sure I need to know what it does mean, but they call it swag. We'll leave it at that. They also have some event shirts from other events that are on discount. So if you want a garage shirt, that'd be the shirt you might want to go look at, because they got some stuff from the Invitational last year in New Mexico. They got some other stuff you might want to look at. So like I say, just stop by. Not expensive. It's not like a rock concert where you got to spend an arm and a leg to get one. But just stop by and pick up some shirt. And I'll tell you what it does. It helps us. It helps when you wear that shirt and go out to other events and people ask you about who is the East Coast Timing Association, what they do. You can kind of tell them the story. We hope you give them a good story on us. So Kirshner was the last one to go through in that Challenger. Again, we're working. We got to constantly keep working the electronics, because just the way the air is and the atmosphere is with the sun shining, and it hits the clocks at different angles, and you get shadows inside the tubes and stuff like that. So our crew's staying on top of them. The times we're giving you now are accurate times. So as Kirshner finishes his run, you got to be tickled. Man, he's just a tick-off. He won a 189. I know he'd like to have gotten a 190, because the next step for him would have been a 200. I'm sure he'll try to get that before the weekend's over. Well, he's the guy yesterday that when he would get out, he'd be going 100 mile an hour, and he'd hit the throttle, and it'd break loose on him again. Clark Regasilli coming out. He's out of Fremont, Michigan. One of the Michigan Madmen. I nickname everybody all the time, so I don't know what we're going to call the Michigan guys. The Texas, they didn't come up here with a bunch of cars. They had a herd of cars that came up. Man, they look, and 99% of them Texas cars are red. I found that out. Got a chance to meet a really good chassis builder. I'll tell you about him a little bit later. As Clark goes through, 191 at half, a 216 at 3/4, 238 at the mile. 238 at the mile. How about that? So a good run for him. 238.917 for Roshner out of Fremont, Michigan. Can't say Michigan Madman. Bob, let's see, Nugent's already got that name, doesn't he? Great group of people. I had a time to talk with them and visit with the guys and the gals that came down from Michigan. I hope you enjoy yourself and have a good time. Enjoyed visiting with you the other day, and I hope y'all have a great weekend. Thomas Erickson comes out now in an AMC Sprint. Don't expect a ton of horsepower, a ton of speed here. He's out of Berea, Kentucky, up around central Kentucky, around my old Kentucky home. There is such a place. And he's from that area in central part of Kentucky. And like I say, he's one of these guys that races the class. He races what I call a budget racer like me. He races what he can afford to race. In this case, it's a 79 AMC Sprint. He's having just as much fun as a guy going 900 mile an hour in a Sabre jet. He goes 118 and a half. At the 3/4, backs down to a 119 at the mile. So again, in no man's land, between 3/4 and a mile, something fuzzy happened and slowed him down 2 miles an hour. But you go back there and a guy from Kentucky, if he wants to talk about anything, I'm sure it'll be basketball. So just kind of put up with them. That's what it's all about. You look around on the signs in the pit area. Look at the name of the sponsors, the people that are providing support for this event. Keep them in mind. You know, we work in a free market system. As KT Boyd gets ready to make the shot on the Yamaha, of course, it's clear. This is a unique story. This young lady is 11 years old. She's driving what they call a Legends car. This fad started about 7, 8, maybe 9 years ago over in Charlotte area. They're scaled down versions of 35, 36, 37, 38 coupes and sedans. Most of them run 600cc Yamaha engines. And this young lady is trying to break in. I mean, they're starting these kids racing awfully young now, and she's no exception. Now, she wanted to come over here yesterday and visit with her star, her hero, and wasn't able to because the young lady had to go qualify for a race over Talladega. We're going to be watching today, and with this young lady, she was going to try to get hold of Jennifer Jo Cobb, wasn't able to make it, but she's going to try to make a run. She's trying to go to 100 miles an hour is what she wants to do, 11-year-old kid. So at the half-mile mark, she goes 78 miles an hour. Then she slows it down to 47. Okay, now what we got? Time waiting for it to come up. Pulls off the track. Does not go all the way through to the 3/4. So she's still, this kid's sharp. She's just driving the car where she's comfortable with it. Not getting over her head, and I like that. She's using her head. Young ladies are really starting to make inroads in motorsporting world. We're glad to see that. Been involved in drag racing, a lot of success for ladies in drag racing over the years, and of course, in Janet Guthrie started a kind of a trend, and Danica Patrick, Janet Guthrie, Jennifer Jo Cobb, who we had here yesterday, Shauna Robinson, Patty Morris. These were people that have won major events as females, and it's no big deal. And it's kind of interesting, how that all works and the cycle that runs in. But they found out that young ladies have a tendency to just be a little bit more calm when they're sitting in the car. They don't know why, but they definitely are. James Sanders, I want to thank James, the mayor from Blytheville, Arkansas, and the Regional Airport Authority. We thank you for your support and working with us on this thing. We appreciate the hospitality that your community has shown to us, and we hope that this relationship continues. I tell you what, you've got a nice facility here, and we appreciate everybody and working with us. This was a very active facility during the war when they were training pilots to land on aircraft carriers. This is where they told them to do it. And in the Second World War, believe it or not, there was actually a B-52 bomber after the Second World War, named Blytheville. Bomber guys, they have names on their airplanes, and Old Crow and Whiskey Doo and Lady Bomber and all that kind of stuff. But there was a B-52 bomber one time actually named Blytheville to show the support the city has. Jason McDonald makes his shot out of McKinley, Texas. Half mile is at a 2. Let's see, we got a 2:15. Let's see, we got to pick up a number here. Wait for me. Okay, at the half mile, mile marker is a 200. He's on the number he was looking for, 200.579 at the mile. Pushed it out the back door at 202.338. Now, one of the things we're seeing today, these guys that were just running a mile yesterday, they've gone up and they're pumping it out the back door again. They're adding on to it, but they don't seem to be adding any gears. I'm noticing, you can tell the gear shift just by listening to them. And it seems like everybody's going maybe as far as 3/4 of a mile, no further, and then winding it the rest of the way through. Motorcycle guys, you can really, really tell that on, because they sound like they're on a chainsaw when they come through the top end of this track. So keep an eye on, guys. We'll be keeping an eye on. But the McKinney, Texas rider just went through with a 200.579 mile an hour on the mile and a 202.338 on the mile and a quarter. Shane Carey making a shot now to the Chevy Corvette. Michigan driver, Georgia Mystery calls home. He got some mile an hour going for him. Clicks off a 169 at the half. Let's see, the mile, we got it coming up, going through the computer, 161 at the half. Getting the official printout now. I'm not going to give you a number until I have a real number for you here. The sun kind of playing with us and dancing us around through the shadows and tubes and so on and so forth. I got the distance of the speed on the mile. He went a 2:03.989. 2:03.989 at the mile. Mile and a quarter, he went a 2:10, so he was pushing out the back door 2:10 with the 2:10.084. So that's a number for you. Today they are, yeah. Yes, I was amazing yesterday.
Everybody was letting off. Sometimes even before the mile.
Exactly. Yeah, but they're going. Well, I guess you see, well, you set a record, like we were saying yesterday. Ted Higginbotham coming out next from College Station, Texas. He also in the Corvette. Now, just thinking, it might be red, because it seemed like everything I saw from Texas yesterday was painted red, especially the Chevrolet products. Came in with a contingent. Yep, there you go. It's red. He comes through at a 185 at the half, 201 at the 3/4, 217. 217 at the mile with the 217.02, and what a run for that. He's got to be happy. You think you might pull up next to the guy at a stoplight sometime this week. That's what's so cool about this. All these cars out here can be street cars. And a lot of them are. I was just talking to a gentleman who drove a Humvee down here. So he's going to try and make a pass a little bit later. Supercharged Humvee. Where can you see that? Maybe he was an Army recruiter. I never thought of that. Get all the kids excited about it. Yeah, Higginbotham goes through out of College Station, Texas with that mile at a 217.024. Armor Hennis, I believe it is, in the Camaro SS. Okay, on the track right now, let's see. Armor can do. Got some mile an hour going for him. Goes to it's like a 196 at the half mile, 3/4 mile, 189. Excuse me, a 119 at the half mile, 189. picks it up, mileage drops back down to a 157. Those mile an hours are kind of dancing around there a little bit. I didn't get a time on him out the back door of the mile with 157. That's a good number. But that 189 at the 3/4 mile, no, we have to wait and see on that. Calculators, computer's trying to come up and make sure we got the right numbers for you. When we get the number, I will give it to you. Don't want to give you any wrong information. Okay, we're clear for the next participant to come down the track. I'd like to check with timing and scoring and check on Anmar's run in that Camaro. It was a good run. I just need to, what we're trying to do is locate a decimal point. Okay, at the mile, we're looking at a 157. He was at a 189 at the 3/4 mile, backs up at a 157 at the mile himself. So what we have is we're dancing around with that decimal point right now, trying to make sure we get the time squared away. So he'll go back to the pit area, get squared away. Remember, in the pit area, 15 mile an hour, no faster. Anybody around you and you're in a vehicle, you don't go any faster than 15 mile an hour. Security has informed us that that's just, that's it. That's what we got to do, simple as that. And also remember, if you're going to play the music loud back there, that's right, it's got to be rock and roll. Got a Virginia rider coming up now, driver. It's a Chevrolet Corvette, 99-year model, Brian Brooks. Seen Brian around. He made a few runs yesterday. He made a couple of runs already today, I believe. Irvington, Virginia, he calls home. Okay, his quick time in a 1/4 of a mile was a 157. He'd gone a 168 in the mile and a 171 in a 1.25 miles. So let's see what he can do today. Half mile is a 138. 3/4 of a mile is at a 154. At the end, mile is 165. That's 3 miles an hour slower than his previous best. So 171.078. His quick time was a 171.887 at the 1.25 miles. So he's up there, those last two digits, the mile, 1.25 miles. He's got that figured out. He said pretty consistent at those two locations at the mile an hour he's running.
And how are you doing, everybody? Bradley Hendricks up here. Army going to take a quick break. Got Stephen Whalen on a 2014 Suzuki Habayushi. Coming up, we're waiting on his former speeds here. And here we go. Steve cooking down right now. At the half mile, 166, 178.253 at the 3/4 mile, and 1 mile, 181.087. It even pushed it up to 182.667 at the back end at 1 1/4. But at the 1 mile there, 181.087 and 182.667 at the back end on the 1 1/4. And it seems like a lot of people, especially today, as Army was saying earlier, everybody seems to be pushing on the back end from the mile to the 1 1/4. And I guess we're going to see a lot of that today because people trying to get that record for not just the 1 mile, but trying to get that land speed record at the 1 1/4. at the half mile, the 3/4, 184, and then he punched it all the way up to 196.464. That's 196.464 at the mile. And you can see what he was doing right there at 167 at the half, 184, and then tossed it another 12 miles an hour at the 1 mile at 196.464. Tracy Higbottom in that 2019 red Chevy Corvette. And he left off it. He wasn't going for that back end at the 1.25 miles. Ended up at 160.944. So definitely going for that 1 mile at 196.464. Had a 199.734 yesterday, so he was he's just about not quite 3 miles an hour off of that 1 mile time from yesterday. Yesterday, he almost hit the 200 mark. Next up, we got Don Tucker, 1996 Mazda Miata. And Don, actually, for this Mazda Miata, he's an SCAA racer, and he's tweaking his vehicle. He's getting ready to leave later today, and then he's going all the way up to a huge competition. They have open wide classes for an SCAA, so he's down here, and this is a perfect setup for him to try and get that fuel-air mixture and get everything right, because he's an SCAA guy for a road course. Don, right now, he's looking at, he had gone 114 at the half, 124 at the 3/4, and he did yesterday 94 at the 1 mile. And once again, Don not really trying to break any land speed records. He's just trying to tweak this thing out because he runs SCAA. So it's really not about top speed for him. It's more about just getting that fuel-air mixture as he heads on up. And he come through now, and he did 110 at the half. At the 3/4, 123.694, and then just backed off it once again. Not looking for any big records. 101.306 at the 1 mile. But his big thing isn't just the top speed. Once again, more just tweaking it, and grid run there, and especially at that 3/4 mile mark. That's really his cherry spot, as he told me. And that's 123.694 at the 3/4 mile. And that's exactly what he was looking for, trying to be around 120 to 125. And he's real consistent right there within a mile of where he was yesterday. So once again, that's a great run for him. And to get that thing just dialed in as he heads on up north for the big SCAA event. And it's a big once a year they have. And we got coming up another Chevrolet Corvette. And a dime a dozen, I'm telling you, but each one individually worked on. This is Tom Kilhofer. Yesterday had a 3/4 at 183, ended up at the mile at 157, so obviously he had dropped off it. And let's see what he's going to run today. Right, the half mile, 163.755, 3/4, 180. And let's see where he's at. And I can hear him putting the hammer down on that one. You could just hear him as he blew right by. At the mile, 189.553. 189.553. And really doing a great job and pumped it way up from yesterday. Yesterday, 3/4 mile, he was at 183, but he had dropped off and gone down to 157. But today at the 3/4, 180, and then pumped it all the way up to 189.553. That's Tom Kilhofer and that Chevy Corvette. Seen a lot of competitors from yesterday and today, and they're really liking the fact that not only is the temperature not gotten out of hand, but it's the humidity, low humidity with a slight breeze, and that's what those vehicles like. Yeah, the cars like low humidity, that very less dense air is going to give them better times. Coming up, we got Fred Vincent, 93 Ford GT50. And these are always great to see. It's just a classic-looking vehicle. And the 93 Ford GT50. He's out of Grapevine, Texas. And coming up on the 1/4 mile, and here he goes, the half mile, 109.409 at the half mile. 1:15.662 at the 3/4. Let's see what he comes through right at that mile. And I heard him go off right at the 1 mile mark. Just got right off that gas. 1:18.281 and 1:18.281 for Fred Vincent at 93 Ford GT50. And like I said, yeah, he just did what he wanted to do, got to that mile marker, popped off the gas. We could hear it from here, and ended up at 77. So yeah, just got right off the gas there. So at the 1 mile, 1:18.281. Well, I'm so impressed with Army up here, man. Doing this hour after hour and day in, day out. That's just a really impressive, and I'm amazed at how Army does this. And it's nice enough for him to let me sit in, announcer from up in the Wilmington, Delaware area, and pretty much just been calling actually polo. So a little bit different from what I'm used to calling is seeing this, but I'm an old gearhead from way back. I'm in the old quarter mile days, back when you had to tweak carburetors, jets, and floats, and you had to do distributor weights and springs, yeah, and change the gap in your spark plugs. So next coming up, we got Nader Abazenna, and he's an 05 Suzuki GSX 1300R. Yesterday, he was pulling at 178.288 yesterday, so not quite, just over 178 at the mile yesterday that Nader had. And let's see what Nader can get out of her today on that 2.5, that 05 Suzuki GSX 1300 out of Washington, Iowa. And cruising down, puts the hammer down, but doesn't look like he's going to get close enough from yesterday. Right there at the 1 mile mark, 171.005. 171.005 for Nader. Yesterday, all the way up at the 1 mile at 178. So down just a little bit from yesterday. At the half mile, he's at 158 today. Yesterday at 162. So yeah, off about 4 miles at the half mile and just about 6-7 miles an hour at the 1 mile. Right now, he just ended at 171.005. And we're just waiting for our next competitor to come up. Hey, don't forget, stop by and see all the gang at the ECTA vendor vent. They've got all kinds of great things right there. They've got hoodies, sweatshirts, ball caps, great things, and for a great cause. That's check out the ECTA area there, and you can get some great stuff for yourself or nice gifts for all other people in your family or your friends, and show them where you were and what you were doing this weekend. Chris Balding from Harlem, Georgia, coming up in a 01 Harley-Davidson Sportster. That's an 01 Harley-Davidson Sportster. Half mile there, posting 99. See what he comes up with here at the 3/4 mile and see if he's going to push it. And he does just a little more, 100 miles an hour. And then heading right up to that 1 mile mark. And got off a little there at 94.727. So was doing okay there right up to the 3/4 mile at 100, and then backed off it a little bit down to 94.727 at the mile. So he was racing yesterday, we think, on a different bike. That one was the Sportster. Next coming up, we got Pat Williams in a 77 Porsche 930, and this is just a real good-looking vehicle. The 930 was just a beautiful looking design. Pat Williams in his 77 Porsche. Yesterday pushed through the mile at 177 and the 1 1/4 at 180. Let's see if he can't even pump that up a little bit better. Maybe he can get to 180 at the mile. Maybe just up a little bit, and let's see what Pat's going to be able to do today. Yeah, and he's got the hammer down there. Let's see what he can come up with. And I just love the look of that vehicle and the sound of it as it goes by. So the half mile today at 147.662, not quite 148, 147 at the half. Yesterday he was at 149 at the half, and let's see what we got for the 3/4 and the mile and the 1 1/4. And here we go. So he ended up at 173.210 at the mile. 173.210. Yesterday, 177.6. And today, 173.2. So off just a little bit from the pace. I'm sure he's going to make a couple more passes there in that classic 930 Porsche. Michael Whitaker getting ready to take place here in his 89 Chevy Camaro TO. That 89 Chevy Camaro TO. And he's just going to do a half-mile pass on this. And there we go. Half-mile pass is what he was looking for. 117.570. So 117 and a half. Right there at the half mile for Michael Whitaker in that 89 Chevy Camaro TO. 117.570 at the half. So, well, depending on what kind of gearing he's got in that thing, what kind of rear and ratio, if he's at 117 already at the half, easily a $130 plus, easily at the mile. So it'll be interesting to see what he decides to do for his next run. But in that 89 Chevy Camaro at the half, and that's what he was looking at, was the half pass, 117.570. Richard Hayen coming up from Gainesville, Texas, and Richard has that 2024 GT500, and those are a beast. The GT500 Limited. This is an MS8B, the 2024 GT from Richard Hayen. Yesterday he was at the 1 mile at 2:01.297. Let's see if he can't put the hammer down on that and beat that right now today. Let's see where he's at the half mile. He's at 1:59, 3/4 mile there. And let's see if he can catch up to it there. And at the 1 mile mark, 181.598 at the 1 mile, 181.598. And yesterday, 201.297. So today, 181.598. He was off just 2 miles an hour at the half. Yesterday 161, today 159. But at the 1 mile mark, it seemed like he just got off it a little bit right around the 3/4 mark and ended up at 181.598 at the mile and 184 at the 1 1/4. Jeff Gerner from Kansas City, Missouri, he's got a 93 Audi S4. The 93 Audi S4 has run a 2:02.111 before at the 1 mile. So he was at 2:02 on his last time run through here at the 1 mile mark. Half mile, he's at 170. That's faster than yesterday or last year's run. He's at the 3/4 195. Oh, he is cooking through, and I'm telling you, I think he's going to beat it at the 1 mile mark. He is at 2:05.573. Jeff Garner, that 93 Audi S4. The last run was 2:02. He's cranked it up to 2:05.573 at the 1 mile mark. And the 1 1/4 backed off a little bit there, 192, but he was looking for that 1 mile mark, and he bumped it up over 3.5 miles an hour from his last pass. He was at 2:02. He went all the way up to 2:05.573. So Jeff's got to be real happy with that number. Lon Hammock coming up from Hazel Green, Alabama, and he's got that '03 Dodge Neon. I saw this thing yesterday when I got here earlier yesterday morning, and I looked at that, and I chuckled to myself, not laughing at him, but kind of the with him, meaning this is what's great about this. You can choose anything. You can take anything. You can tweak it to the max. You can take it stock showroom, do whatever you want, but this is the '03 Dodge Neon from Lon Hammock. And yesterday, he went through the mile at 121, and that is nothing to sneeze at. So let's see. He's right on the mark at the half mile mark, 105, at the 3/4, 114. So he's right on where he was in pace with yesterday. Let's see what he can get at that 1 mile mark. And 120.838, so he's right in with those numbers on his last pass. 105 at the half, 114 there at the 3/4, but at the 1 mile mark, 120.838. 120.838 in an '03 Dodge Neon for Lon Hammock. And, folks, as Army was saying earlier, 15 miles an hour for everybody that's either driving back to tweak and try to work out your cars back at your shop there and get the most out of your next run, or just anybody that's back there. Please, 15 miles an hour, and just please be safe. Going to have James Bracken coming up, and he's on an '04 Harley-Davidson V-Rod. And kind of the unusual thing about what they're doing here, and Army had mentioned it earlier, you've got your choice as a competitor. You can do a rolling start. So you've got a couple yards, 15, 20 yards. You can do a rolling start, or you can go from a dead stop. And a lot of people choose to use that rolling start. Let's see what James is going to put in here with that '04 Harley-Davidson V-Rod. Half mile at 171. That was cooking. 171 that James had at the half mile mark. And let's see what he's got coming up at the 1 mile there. But once again, he was just pushing it there. 171 at the half. $193 at the 3/4 mile. Oh, he must have been darn close to 200 there at the. Let's take a look at the 1 mile, because he went from 171 at the half, 193 to the 3/4. We're just waiting on those numbers to come in at the 1 mile mark, but that is a huge over 22 mile an hour increase there from the half to 3/4. Very impressive, and we're just once again waiting on that mile time. 171 though at the half, 193 at the 3/4. And here we go. Numbers coming in. So once again, 171.625. That was at the half. And at the mile, I think 193 at the 1 mile. And that last pass, he ended up 193 at the mile, but 195 at the 1 1/4. So didn't get off it, kept going. And this one, Phil Landry in that 32 Ford Roadster. The 32 Ford Roadster. Let's see what Phil can do here. Had a pass already. He was at 89 at the half mile and backed way off it for the 3/4 mile. I think he was just going for that half mile. He was half mile, his last run at 89, and then at 3/4 mile with 54.815. Once again, Philip Landry in that 32 Ford Roadster. And there you go, backed off. And once again, he's just really running for the that half mile. Yesterday, the half mile at 89.811. Let's see what he pulled out today at that half mile. 88.513. So real close, just about a mile an hour lower, just a little bit off there at 88.513 at the half mile. And that's what Phil's doing in that 32 Ford Roadster. And we're going to have a course hold right now, right around the half mile to 3/4 mile mark. There's somewhere back there we think we might have possibly an antifreeze spill or something might be on the track. So once again, safety always paramount for all of the competitors here. So we're going to do a course hold and just hold up for a minute or two. There on Philip Landry's 32 Ford Roadster. Might have a spill. Something might have come out on the course. And once again, always better to err on the side of caution there. So we're just going to take a few minutes there, a course hold, make sure we check the course and make sure it's all clear. And once again, we're just on a track hold. I think we might have had a spill of something around the 1/4 mile to 3/4 mile mark, possibly antifreeze, and they're going to go check that out and make sure everything's all right. Want to do a nice big shout out to Army there for letting me sit in for a while and give him a little bit of a break. He was on microphone yesterday for probably darn close to 10 hours, and being an announcer like him, I know that can be a little wearing on you. And I happened to stop up in the booth yesterday to say hello and kind of did some back and forth with him, and he asked if I'd come up and give him a little spell, give him a little break, him to get take some water, take a walk around, stretch the neck muscles. And so my name's Bradley Hendricks, sitting in there for just a little bit. Came up kind of almost at the last minute, down from up in the Wilmington, Delaware area, and came down at the behest of a friend there, Vance Kirshner, and his good friend Vaughn. Got Kenny. Vance and Kenny are out driving today. Got the Dodge Demon that Vance has been working on. And pretty much a stock vehicle. They did a little spoiler adaptation yesterday. And the Yanko, the same thing. Pretty much, mostly stock, just the computer tweaks and stuff like that. That Yanko, that safety green Yanko that they have, has broken 201 here back in July when they were everybody was here in July, and so they're seeing if they can't get that back up to there. And for that Dodge Demon, and trying to get around that 200-mile mark as well. So be interesting to see what that crew can do. But shouts out to Vance and Vaughn and Kenny, and next to us, and Aaron and all the gang. And it looks like they went and checked the course, and everything seemed to be clear. All systems go. So we'll be getting up in just another minute or two for our next competitor. So once again, they checked that track for any possible leakage or debris, but everything seemed to be fine. And so we're getting ready to take off that course hold, and we'll have our next competitor up in just a second. And it looks like next up we're going to get Tim Vath on that '08 Buell. And for those of you familiar, or the Buell is Harley Davidson's. That is their hot rod, so to speak. That's their racing division, the Buell of Harley Davidson. So we got Tim Vath on an '08 Buell getting ready to make a pass here. So here we go. Tim Vath coming up here in that '08 Buell. Once again, the Buell with that racing division that Harley Davidson came up. And if anybody's ever seen a Harley Davidson kind of tricked out compared to a Buell, a completely different looking beast. I mean, these things are meant to do nothing but fly, the Buells. And waiting on speeds, boy, I can hear them from here. 136 at the 3/4. At 151.668 at the mile. 151.668 at the mile. And yep, pushing it down, putting the hammer and not letting off. He ends up with a 153 at 741 at the 1.25 miles. And once again, as Army had mentioned earlier, a lot of the people today that ran yesterday, and they were going pretty much for the mile. They were going for that 3/4 and the mile mark. And everybody today pushing for the mile to the 1.25. And once again, those are records themselves, not just the mile, but you have the records also going to 1.25 mile. And that's exactly what Tim was doing right there in that '08 Buell, keeping the hammer locked down and getting all the way up to 173 at that 1.25. And here we go. We got 149. That was at the 3/4. 151 at the 1 mile, and 153.741. So not easing off that throttle. He kept it down. 151.668 at the mile, and 1.25. 153.741. That was Tim Vath in that '08 Buell. Peter Kaiser in that 1947 Crosley sedan, the 1947 Crosley sedan. He's out of Amherst, Massachusetts, and boy, that's a little trip down here. He had posted earlier a 145 at the mile, so let's see what Peter can pull out of that 47 Crosley sedan today. Once again, so far he's done a 145 at the mile. Now he's doing really good. He's on pace at that half mile, 125.209. 138.051 at the 3/4. He should be over that time. And right there, 143.541 at the mile. 143.541 at the mile. He was actually about 2 miles an hour faster at the 3/4 mile. He went 138.058, and that's up 2 miles from his last run. But at the 1 mile mark, ended up at 143.541, just off from his last pass at 145. So ends up with a 143.541 at the 1 mile. That's Peter Kaiser, and that's a 47 Crosley sedan. Lewis there, cruising up in that 2010 Chevy Corvette at the half mile, 127.407. 3/4 mile, 142. And 144.092 at the mile. There's a nice improvement. Last run, he was at 131.9, so just not quite 132 his last time. But today, right now on this run, 144.092. That is a huge jump, folks. That is almost 13 miles an hour. A great job. Louie's got to be very, very, got to be very, very happy with that post. 127 at the half, 142 at the 3/4, and 144.092 at the mile. Almost 13 miles an hour faster than his last run. Beautiful job at 144.092 for Louis. Gary Johnson up now in an 89 Ford Taurus. I actually had an 89 Ford Taurus, but I have a feeling this one's probably just a little bit different than mine. Mine was an old business car for my dad, so probably nothing near what Gary Johnson's out there in his 89 Ford Taurus. If I remember correctly, that 89 Ford Taurus, the gas mileage is pretty good, but I don't think I could get going 75 going downhill with the wind at my back. Half mile, 97.287 at the half. 105.152 at the 3/4. So 97 at the half. At the 3/4, he was 105.152. And looks like the 3/4 is exactly where he's going for. And the 1 mile, 76.694. So once again, he's going for that 3/4 mile mark. He did 105.152. So up from what he was had done just on his last run, over a mile an hour faster. So Gary Johnson, that 89 Ford Taurus, really hammering for that 3/4 mile mark, and he goes with a 105.152. So a couple qualifying passes there for Gary Johnson, and he's picked it up a little bit each time, and that's what you want to do. Mark Wheeler, Pontiac Firebird. Mark had gone 2:07 at the mile and 2:48 at the 1 1/4. He has already recorded 2:07.8 at the 1 and 2:48 at the 1:25. Let's keep an eye on what he's got. I'd love to find out what he's running in this thing, that Pontiac Firebird. And I can hear him from here. Oh, my God. I can hear him from all the way at the 1/4 mile mark. He's blasting through that half mile at 170. 3/4 mile, 193. Here he comes, crossing the 1 mile mark. And he's still on it. He's not getting off it there. 2:12.364. And, oh, my goodness, 2:24.719. So 2:12.364 at the mile. He went up about 5 miles an hour on the mile mark from before. He went from 2:07 earlier. Now he posted a 2:12.364 at the 1 mile mark and got off it there, a 2:24 at the 1 1/4, whereas before he had gone 2:48. So he was up about 5 miles an hour on that 1 mile mark at 2:12, but dropped off it there right at the 1 mile mark and just coasted down to 2:24 for the 1 1/4. But 2:12.364, that's his fastest time at the 1 mile so far. Coming up now, RD Waldrop in an 014 Mercedes E63. That's a 2014 Mercedes E63. RD Waldrop out of Texas City, Texas. Now, if this was a Corvette, I'd say it'd probably be red, just being from Texas. But no, it's an 014 Mercedes E63. He had gone 175 through the mile before in his last run. Let's see what he can do right now. He's the half mile, 144. 158.53 through at the three-quarter mile. And he was off just a little bit at the half mile from his last run. He did 144 now. He was at 147 last time. He was at 163 his last three-quarter, now 158. And at the mile, 170.229 at the mile, and 176.471 at the mile and a quarter. So 170.229 at the mile, but he has topped his last pass. So this is the fastest time he's gone in a mile and a quarter, 176.471. So in that 014 Mercedes E63, RD's got to be happy with that. John Cross coming up in that 016 Dodge Challenger from Derby, Kansas. John had pushed 206.849, almost 207. So he was at 206.849 his last 1 mile pass. We'll see what he can pull out of that 16 Dodge Challenger right now, John Cross. Once again, his last 1 mile was 206.849. Find out what he can do today. And it looks like right off the starting line, barely getting to the quarter-mile mark, it looks like he might turn off the track there, or he just got right off it, so couldn't even hear anything from out here. Couldn't tell if it was an engine or trans, or he just had a misshift, not quite sure. And it looks like he's even short. Looks like he's a little short of that quarter-mile turnoff. So he's starting to move there. So let's see if he can make it to the first cutoff there. So unfortunately for John at that 016 Dodge Challenger, like I said, he had already posted earlier a 1 mile run at 206.849. So he had already, pumped it up, but obviously he got right off it there from the start to the quarter mile. So he got right off it there. So he's just going to make his way down to the turnoff there. Tough luck, John, and hopefully figure out what went wrong and maybe get a better run the next time. Tell me when you're ready.
I'm fine.
Kevin Edgemont here in an 08 Harley-Davidson FLTR out of Denver, Colorado. I bet you he likes riding that thing up there, but that thin air, you can get really cooking up in there. 08 Harley-Davidson FLTR, Kevin Edgemont. And nice start for Kevin. See him from here. And, yep, still progressing. You can tell, still picking up speed, still going strong. 133, 116 through the half. 141 at the three-quarter. Oh, and had just a little, either a misshift or a little hiccup in the motor there. 144.695. That's 144.695 at the mile, and 148.173. So obviously going for the mile and a mile and a quarter. 144.695 and 148.173. But up here in the booth, we could hear just right between the three-quarter and 1 mile mark. It either could have been a shift or maybe just a little hiccup in the motor there. Not quite sure. And I'm sure he can get a little better than that and tweak that out, but still nothing to sneeze at. 144.695 through the mile and 148.173 through the mile and a quarter. And as Army said earlier, people really going not just for the 1 mile today. I'm saying about 80+% of the people, motorcycles, cars, everybody, really trying to push that 1 1/4 mile mark. Ladies and gentlemen, my name's Bradley Hendricks. I might be up in a little bit later. Spelled Arnie for a bit, and Army's back and going to take over and catch up with everybody in a bit. Remember, 15 miles an hour, folks. That's the max speed we want in the back areas. So please be aware of that. And stop by all the gang over there at ECTA in the vendor's booth and see the gang and check out their merchandise, their gear, the hats, the hoodies, and the sweatshirts. Army, over to you.
Hey, Bradley, thanks a lot, man. Keeping everybody up and going, seeing what's happening. Back in the pit area, you're getting out real good. I was walking back to see you sounding real good. I was listening to what you're talking about. As we get our next driver coming through, it'll be Julian Basler, goes to 151 at the half mile, 164 at the three-quarter. Bumped it up to a 175. That's a number, but out the back door we're talking about, he's still going at a 181. The mother load stop with the 175. That's the mile. Pushing it through the barrier is a 181. So Basler out of Illinois, out of Rolling Meadows, Illinois, doing a real good job in that little Nissan. It's amazing to be here because I just walked back to the pit area, had a chance to see what's going on. You know, Ralph Shaheen and his crew are here with Speed Sport magazines. Well, I always knew Speed Sport. Ralph got involved with it, and they've turned it over. They're into television and everything right now. They're doing a special on the Three Rangers whiskey product. One of the vehicles will be coming out a little bit later. I have that name on it. I'd like to tell you the story, but and it is an interesting story about Three Rangers and the Black Hawk helicopter down that we all have known about and studied about and everything. Well, it gives us an opportunity to say thank you to them, and them an opportunity to do what they do. But they've got a new whiskey coming out. It's available in Iowa right now, and it'll be available in other areas. They're trying to work with it to get through all the paperwork and everything like that. It's called Three Rangers. Keep it in mind, it's a real good whiskey. I'm from Kentucky, and I'm telling you, it's a real good whiskey, so you know it is. So we'll be telling you more about that in a little bit. This is Army Armstrong. I'm back to bring you David Hollis out of a little Chevrolet 69 C10. Goes to 112 at the half-mile mark, three-quarter mile, 72, so he's backpedaling real quick. Something went away on him. I don't know if he's going to make it even to the turnoff. That's where he is right now. So second time today, David has taken a shot, got halfway down the track, and something went away on the truck. I don't know what it is. This is one of these trucks that they use in this new sport where they do kind of like street corner. They go to parking lots, and the suspension, really neat suspension guys get involved in it. It's awesome what they can do, and we're glad to have him come out and run with us on the East Coast Timing Association. So, David, hope you enjoy yourself, get the truck ironed out, and we'll be getting ready to go. Don't forget, at the registration area, they do have T-shirts available for you. Stop over there and pick you up one to show you're part of all the action as we came to the Arkansas Mile. As Kelly Bias gets ready to take a shot. He's out of Cypress, Texas. It'll be a Corvette. Man, it's like every time you say Texas, you got to follow it up with a Corvette. I was just walking through the pit area a moment ago, and I saw some bad heat sitting back in there from Texas, some big iron, if you will. They weren't red. They were bad, just simply. If there's a color named bad, they're sitting back there right now. We've got a car on the track right now. We're trying to get things squared away. Kelly Bias. I don't know if this is a checkout run for her. But we'll check and wait and see what the Cypress, Texas is going to do. Looks like they're going to exit the track at the three-quarter mile mark. And that'll bring it, the next driver up. We'll let you know who that's going to be. But Kelly will make the turn and the turn off, clear the track. It's amazing, my first opportunity to work with this organization, but how safety conscious they are. All motorsports organizations say they are, they say they want to be and everything, but these guys are, and that's to your benefit. You're very fortunate to be racing with people that really genuinely care about your safety. So right now we're going to the next vehicle to come up. It'll be Joseph Jolly. He's out of Michigan, out of Trenton, Michigan. He's driving a 79 Ford Mustang, FOMO Co. For all you Ford people, let's get ready for this guy. He's made runs early. He went on 182.815 on a mile shot yesterday, 182. So let's see what's going to happen here. Yesterday he went a 151 at the half, a 168 at the three-quarter, 182 at the mile. Let's see what's going to happen. What he does there. Is he going to try to break the 182? Or is he going to push it past to the mile and a quarter? on a run, heading this way. Just listen. I'll just listen to him real quick. $165 at the half, $115 at the first, $165 the paint can car, $177 at the mile, $177. He drove it out to back door, $185. Yeah, that's what he was hustling for, going for that mile and a quarter. His previous mile and a quarter was a $115. He bumps it up to a $185. He has a $182 on the mile and a $185 on the mile and a quarter. Joseph Jolly, you go, boy. You're looking good out there today. Congratulations, Joseph, and all the crew. The Ford guys got to be happy with that. So we're going to look back in the starting area and see what's coming up when they clear the track. Hey, don't forget to find people at Holly out of Bowling Green, Kentucky. All kind of products, all kind of performance stuff. And they, along with people such as Competition Cams, manufactured in the Memphis, Tennessee area. All the guys there, brother and everybody, for their work, years have done work for all kinds of racing. Sprint car, flat track, motorcycles, asphalt, behind bank, quarter long, whatever. Competition Cams has been there to make a quality product for you. If you run a mile, I'm sure they got a mile product that can help you out too. Keep in touch with them. Competition Cams in Memphis, Tennessee. Headers, fuel lines, so on and so forth. Keep Holly in mind. They've got their own fuel injection system going for them out of Bowling Green, Kentucky. Bill Tishner and his crew over there, more than happy to take care of the racers. Both those companies are so important in our motorsporting industry, and we got to remember that when we vote with their dollar bills. Simple as that. So spend money with the guys that support you. I think it'll pay dividends back. Talking to Ralph Shaheen a moment ago, and he was talking about they're doing a special for his television, with his television production company, with the Rangers. 3 of the Rangers are here, of the 3 Rangers. The whiskey I was telling you about a moment ago that you'll be able to get in your own location, only available now in Iowa. But 3 Rangers whiskey has got a story to tell. It's an interesting story, and I think you'd be interested in the story, and I think you'd be proud of it. TK Ball coming out now, one of the little 37 Yamaha-powered Legends cars. Young lady's getting squared away. Just time to get time in the seat. She went a 72 mile an hour at the half mile, backed up to a 60 at the 3/4 mile, and didn't go through the mile. She made a turnoff. So she's doing exactly what she's supposed to do in a rookie orientation situation. She's keeping her vehicle under control, doing a real good job. We'll do an interview with her a little bit later in the day if I can get her to come to the announcer's tower. But we appreciate her coming and being with us. Eric Porter is going to be coming out now. 2000 Chevrolet Corvette. Corvette right now, I tell you what, this Shane Vitelli, he's reading a riot act to him in this class. I'll explain it to you in just a little bit, but Eric Porter, at the half mile went a 130.776, a 146. He's going up the ladder at the 3/4 mile. What does he do at the mile? Gets ready to click it off right now. 125 backed out. Man, we got no man's land here between 3/4 and a mile. Something went away on him. It looked good, didn't hear anything, no smoke or anything, don't know what happened. Yeah, he was backed out of it because he rolled down to a 103 at the mile and a quarter. So I had a strong run going at the 3/4 mark. My 130 at the half, 3/4, 146 going up, and then all of a sudden, boom, drops down to a 125 at the mile and a 103 at the mile and a quarter. So Eric Porter, I have to go back to the pit area to get things going as Christopher Burns out of Porter, Texas gets ready to come up on a Kawasaki. Motorcycles, man, a very important part of the speed industry. Yamaha, Suzuki, really big into the sport. See your local Suzuki dealer for whatever you're looking for. They got everything for everybody. Man, they're making these quality motorcycles you can teach your kid to ride on and what have you. But right now, Christopher Burns gets ready to take his shot. Goes a 209 at the half, a 277 at the 3/4. Top end, bingo, 245. Backed off that 277. He had it to 3/4. So again, no man's land taking its toll. It seemed like for a little bit today, everybody found the gearing to get to that mile and a quarter. Now the big speeds coming at a mile and 3/4, at 3/4 of a mile, and then it seems to roll over on them. I don't know what's happening. Air conditions are good, track's good, little bit of a headwind, not enough to really hurt you. You can get through the air. But it's kind of unique. There's a pattern that's kind of set up. At 209, he was on a run at the half mile. 277, he was smoking bad. He was on the way, and then boom, back to. I'm not saying 245 is bad, but man, that wasn't what he was looking for. Von Harden coming out now in the Dodge Challenger Demon. Excuse me. He's out of Delaware. We'll call his Wilmington, Delaware home. And big problem he had yesterday, even at 100 miles, he rolled to 100 mile an hour and then buried his foot in it. It don't like to turn sideways on him. Just so much horsepower broke loose. See what's going to happen today. Look good, clean run so far. I love to listen to him. Let's just listen to him here. We can hear him pushing the wind down here. 128 at the half, 112 at 3/4. He had it going yesterday. I don't know, the mile only gave him an 89.162, so he had it going yesterday. He's going to have to backtrack and go back to the old notebook and pull it back to him. The car definitely capable of going a whole lot quicker than that. So the Delaware racer has got some time to do his thing. And speaking of time, this might be a good time for you to get in the staging lanes if you want to make your run. There's a lot of guys from the Lone Star. That big flag back there with a white star, red and blue, and a white star. There's a lot of cars sitting back there underneath that we're looking forward to make a shot as soon as we can today here at the East Coast Timing Association, Blytheville, Arkansas. We really appreciate everybody coming out and being with us. The good Lord bless us with a great day. And, what can you say? This is what we're all about. You can't ask for better conditions and better facilities, better people to work with, and what have you, to do this with your car. It's all about speed, safe speed at Blytheville. Brought to you by the East Coast Timing Association. As soon as we get a track clear, Brent has been out earlier today. I'm going to give you some times at the half mile. He was the 176. Let's see what he got here today. 171. 178. Backs up a little bit. 195. Picks it back up. That was kind of strange. He went a 171 and jumped to a 189. Big jump there. And then a 195 in no man's land. So he was making horsepower and pushing backs on the pedal a little bit from a 195 to a 163 past the mile mark on that quarter of a mile. So good run. I'm looking at everybody. I was watching, picked things up by 10, 171, 189, 195. Definitely was in a power range right there that looked good for him. I don't know if he backed on the throttle when he knew he was at the mile or not. He was not interested in pushing it for the mile and a quarter. And today it seems like a lot of people are going after it. I know this morning there weren't. A few moments ago there were some guys really pushing hard to get through the mile to the mile and a quarter. Back in the pit area, you have to be walking around or whatever. Keep your eye open. I told you Ralph Shaheen's here, and you might, we've watched his TV shows and everything. I know he's busy. I know he's working, and he's doing some work with the Three Rangers organization, the whiskey that's coming out real soon, and these guys involved in our sport, and he's doing a special on him, a documentary, if you will. And just give him a nod. I know he's busy. Don't take time away from him to say thanks for what you do for motorsports. This guy covers all kinds of motorsports and does a phenomenal. He loves them. And this is a guy you watch on TV, and he gets excited about everything because he shares the excitement that we have. And I hope that you get a chance to share with him what this sport means to you. But we really appreciate guys like Ralph being around. Been around for over 30 years. He was just a kid when he got started. And he's grown into a man and grown into a leader in the industry. Right now, Tom Schrader gets his stop. He's been up a million times. He went the half mile 92, at the three-quarter mile 95, at the mile is 96.951. He's one of these guys that came in here in a van, threw a whole bunch of motorcycles in the back. He's just going racing. He runs Yamahas. He runs everything. I'm trying to think, Buells, Yamahas, scooters, probably swing bicycle in there too if you watch him. But again, this is a sport that everybody can get into at whatever level they want to. Saw a gentleman in the pit area a while ago building a beautiful Ford Mustang. Said he'll be out here next year. And that's what I'm glad to see. I'm glad to see people building. You can get in this sport now, and the East Coast Timing Association is trying to get it squared away. They got a couple of runs a year, so you don't have to depend on just one run. You've got a couple of places to run. It's affordable to run. You're respected when you come to the track. Everybody likes everybody and gets along. As Tom Crawford comes through in a Chevy Corvette, getting decimal point mixtures here on the screen. It looks like a 200.70 at the 200-mile mark. Okay, correct that. Mile mark time, 184. 184.351 for Tom. 184.351. Son's playing a little bit of tricks on us with the timing equipment. It's no big deal. It'll eventually wears out, and that's why I wanted to pull you back on that 184 number at the mile. Went on 153, so he backed on it as soon as he went through the mile. It dropped to a 153 at the mile and a quarter. Don't forget your T-shirts. Be sure to pick up some swag before you head home. They got good food. They're cooking up some food. We smelled it when we walked through back there. So you want some good old southern cooking, fatten you up a little bit. Stop over there and visit with the people. Young lady, Annie's Cousins, the name of the operation. She's got all kind of chicken and stuff like that, pork, steaks, ribs, hot dogs, sausage, corn, everything doctor told you not to eat. That's what they got over there for you. But hey, it's race day. Let's go have some fun. Christian Ketchum coming out now from Terry Park, Ohio. John Ketchum in a 75 Norton Atlas. This motorcycle has a completely different sound. Listen to it than the other ones coming through. It's a Norton motorcycle. Not a lot of screaming to it, more of a bellowing. Listen to this. Through the traps at the mile marker. Mile marker at the mile marker is giving me some troubles with my timing. He went 02 at the half mile and 09 at the 3/4 mile. I got him at an 08 at the mile and a quarter, but I'm not getting a readout on him at the 1 mile distance. He had a good run going if it was an 09 at the 3/4 mile, but I'm showing goofy numbers at the mile mark. So, John, we'll get that squared away on your timing sheet, and when you come and pick it up, hopefully we'll have everything under control for you so you can tune for it. Going through the route, there's a lot that goes on between runs here because you're dealing with such a distance. A lot of it is geared to safety, and like you get it clear on the course, and you got to go to the start line to get it clear there, and then they come back to you with a number and everything, make sure everything's cool. We get it in the computer. Meanwhile, you're lining up. Boom, you come up like David Slayer comes out of with the 1981 Custom. It says. Don't know where David's from. Don't have any information there. You guys that are coming in, if you could take the time, we really would appreciate it if you would take the time and put some information on those sheets about yourself. You don't have to put your hero or anything like that. Let me know when you graduated from high school, what kind of vehicle you had, what was your first car, how long you been in racing, what your kids' names are, what you work, what do you do, how long you've been racing, stuff like that, stuff that we can share with the other competitors and spectators who watch this sport. And it's not being goofy, it's just being what professional sports is all about. A 103 at the half mile, then he drops it down. Something goes away on him. He goes at the 3/4 mile, he back rolls it to a 66 mile an hour, so he'll bail on this one. As soon as we get him clear of the track, we'll get it squared away. He's riding one of the new class motorcycles. They're called baggers. If you look, I believe on the back of that, you'll see what they call luggage bags that they used to carry. Well, I told you wrong on that. He's not running one of the bagger bikes. But looks like a a Harley, that's for sure. It's dressed in black and orange, so it's got to be a Harley. Once again, we're talking about people making it all possible. Bill Tishner with the crew at Hyundai, Holly carburetors and fuel injectors. Now the thing, Earl's braided line, hooker headers. You go to Holly and get anything you want. They can really take care of you on what you're doing with your whatever speed venture you're in. Speaking of that, comp cams. You can't say more about anybody than comp cams. They do such a good job. Located in Memphis, Tennessee, for any of your racing and horsepower needs, keep comp cams in mind. You can talk to them about heads and cranks and cams and everything, but they'll make some horsepower for you. On the track now, Bruce Warren does a 1 mile run of 197. Man, that dude's close. Backpedaled it right after he went through the mile, gets a 164 in the shutdown area. So his half mile was a 168. Then he went a 185 up to the 3/4 mile. Had some good mile an hour there, and then picked it up to a 197 for the official mother load mile at a 197.585. I want to thank the guys with Jasper Engines. Keep them in mind for any kind of engine work and needs, fleet repair for remanufactured engines. The guys located in Jasper, Indiana, been around for a long time, supported racing and motorsports. They've got a guarantee on all their stuff. They support the sport and also transmissions. I understand their transmissions operations is very close to where we are right now. I don't have the exact information on it, but we do appreciate Jasper working with us and helping us. As a matter of fact, if you go to the T-shirt stand and pick up a T-shirt, they may throw a hat in that for you just for grins and giggles. So we definitely want to acknowledge that. And the Vets Motorsports program. I was talking to a fellow yesterday. I need to get back in touch with him and finish our conversation. I'm a vet, and with the 101st Airborne in Vietnam, came home in 71. So if anybody's out there is over there when I was, stop by and see me. We never know. We maybe flew together or something. But thanks to the Vets organization for promoting more motorsports and the industry of motorsports and what's involved with it. Waste Pro, a local organization, takes care of all the sanitation needs we need around here. We want to thank them for their support and work with us, and thank them again for all the good work they do. CT Performance, what can you say about those guys? You want horsepower, you want speed, you got to go to CT. They'll do it for you. Bayview Equestrian Center. Hey, we're talking about horsepower, but we're also talking about horses here. Bayview, one of the finest equestrian centers in this part of the country. We want to thank them for their support and help with as we go through the day's activities. We know that a lot of people don't realize how big equestrian operations are in America. Horses are always big, always famous, just like horsepower. And the people that get involved with that really, really need people, and we're glad to have them involved with us. Clark's Body Shop locally. If you need anybody to help you with your vehicle, stop by Clark's Body Shop. At least let them give you an estimate to see what's going on for whatever you need. I want to thank Aaron Brown's Garage. You hear his name quite a bit today as Aaron and his crew. As a matter of fact, one of his fellows on the Bet Motorsports program is who I was talking to on the Aaron Brown's crew. Aaron's kind of a unique guy. Built a company down in Mooresville, North Carolina, and he kind of caters to the NASCAR teams on the clandestine side, we'll say. He's one of the guys that comes with all these super, super tricks. And he himself used to be involved with NASCAR, and all his crew members on his car are NASCAR crew members. And I tell you how you can tell. It's really neat. They all walk together, and they all walk the same. It's really amazing. You see 5 of them guys walking down the road, they all look like they're marching with each other. And that's the way the NASCAR crew guys do it. I guess they got it from them, so they do the same. But Aaron, very important to this sport, and we appreciate his support, based out of North Carolina, that sells speed and horsepower all over the country. Right now we're getting where the course is, opening back up. We're getting ready to go. Don't forget talking about some of the people responsible for this. Safety Clean involved with us and helping us in what we do, keeping everything clean and safe and what have you. And Performance Plus, what can I say? The name says it all. Keep them in mind if they can help you. The Performance Plus people helping support the East Coast Timing Association, along with some of the fine sponsors I spoke of just a moment ago. And, you know, we got to spend money and we got to buy parts and pieces and whatever. Let's do it from each other, okay? Let's help these guys grow. They'll help us grow. We'll all be one happy camper. One day we'll all hook hands and walk down the racetrack whistling zippity-doo-dah or something. But the bottom line, we're going to have a sport to run with, and that's what it's all about. Speaking of running with the sport, Ken McNaddington, a 220 Chevy Camaro Yinko. I hope this guy, I want to see a good number out of him, like 182. Boom, he's getting there. That guy's doing everything but getting out and pushing it the last half of a mile. He really is working on this car. Came in yesterday and just couldn't get a handle on it. Working on it, trying to figure it out. Make a run, didn't work. And he'd make a run and go one way, and then he'd come back and make another run and go the exactly opposite way. And you could tell what he's trying to do is develop a baseline. Well, he found the baseline early this morning. And he came up. This guy's come up from running in the 140s up to a 189. And I'll guarantee you, Chevrolet wants to see that thing go 200 mile an hour before this weekend's over, I would imagine. Being the car it is and the type it is and everything. Basically a street car, but Ken doing a super job. But he's going the right way. Ken, boy, you just keep climbing, buddy. You'll get there. Fred Gaminol coming up now in a 2009 Kawasaki ZX14. He'd run earlier the mile. He'd run earlier with 195 earlier in the day at a 195 at a 652. Pretty strong out the back door too. He stayed from 195 at the mile and a quarter. He was at a 191, so he didn't backpedal too much. Coming down the track, tucked in real good looking. 141 at the half mile. Not what he's looking for right there. 3/4 of a mile. Okay. Right now we're trying to get, comes up the mile and a quarter. Okay, we got the mile times of 161. He was pushing out the back door, 161 at the mile, but pushed it to a 166 at the mile and a quarter. So he's down. What he really is right now, he's down about 30 mile an hour from yesterday. Boy, that's a big drop, but it's a consistent drop at all points. So he got one problem. It's costing him 30 mile an hour. It's not a little problem. Fred's going to have to go back and give us a screw and get things squared away. Yeah, half mile is at 141. Then the mile is at 161. Push it out the back door to 166. Yeah, course is clear. We get the all clear, get ready for the next participant to come up, trying to figure things out. Man, he dropped 30 mile an hour at 3 points in the track, so he's got a gig on. Michael Whitaker, 69 Chevrolet Camaro. Hey, we need all you guys coming through tech. Give us some information on yourself. We got about 5 vehicles right here in a row. We don't know anything about you guys except who you are. And we want to tell the people about you, who you are, where you're from, what you're doing, and everything. And right now we're watching Michael Whitaker in an 89 Camaro, different body style than we've seen some of these guys running here lately. Car looks good. It's got a good power range going for him. Goes to 128 at the half. So he does it 3/4. We got that. He goes to the finish line at a 2:18. Okay, we're getting a readout. We're having to check that again, so stay with me on it. When I get an official mile an hour, a real one, I will let you know, and I will let you know what it is. Okay, mile time on the car, we get it at 2:37. Checking it out, he had a 1:28 at the half mile. A mile later, He's doubled it. It goes to 237.655. Lon Hammett now coming out of Hazel Green, Alabama. Dodge Neon. Some of the Alabama boys coming over. We got kind of wads of people coming over. We got people from Colorado. We got Alabama, Arkansas. Good turnout from Arkansas. We got some Missouri guys coming. Detroit. Boy, those guys showed up in Forest. The home of rock and roll. Detroit rolled into Blytheville the other day. And then Texas, man, they herded them up and brought them all up. They haven't even gone on the track, most of them, this weekend. I'm anxious to see them make a run. But right now we're watching Lon Hammett make a run out of Alabama. He went a 104 at the half mile, 114 at the three-quarter mile. Going on through with the little car, 1 mile at 119. There you go. That's exactly what I was talking about, class racing. It's going to tickle that guy to death. He went a 119. At the end of that, very end of the mile and a quarter, he was at a 122. So that little rascal was ramping up all the way through. A 104 goes to a 114, a 119 at the mile, and a 122 at a mile and a quarter. Way to go, Lon. Way to go. Cody Bellamy now making a shot. Comes through the three-quarter. Got a good run going for him. Yeah, we got a number here. Get this, 185 at the mile, 185.835. Again, going for a mile and a quarter record. He goes to 192.513. He's got a gear in there. He's going up with it, that's for sure. 185 is still pulling a quarter mile away at a 192, so he's laying a number down for him. Out of Huntsville, Alabama. Great little community over there. If you ever get a chance, especially if you got kids and grandkids, they got a neat space station over there. It's very educational. A very nice town, great people to work with. Huntsville, Alabama. Everybody on the way to Talladega goes through Huntsville. But speaking of Talladega, they're running today. Jennifer Jo Cobb, who was there yesterday, is running a truck in that particular race today. I'm sure it'll be televised. Speaking of televised, I told you a moment ago that Ralph Shaheen is here from Speed Sport and Speed Sport TV. So if you see Ralph, he and his film crew are don't bother him. Just say, hey, how you doing? Welcome to the deal. He's working, but we're glad to have him with us. He's working, doing a special with the Three Rangers whiskey that's going to be released, and we'll tell you about that a little bit later. It is on a car sponsoring an event. Tom Schaefer. Yep. It's the guy I was telling you about that threw about 20 motorcycles in the back of his van and went racing with us. Well, look at the number on this thing. 155 on a little Yamaha R6. 155.199. Andrew Wydell scheduled to come out next in the Corvette. 211 out of Farmington, Michigan. Bob Sear, Farmington, the home of rock and roll. And that's exactly what he's doing now. Going to pick him up the half mile. It's a 153, 3/4 of a mile, 166 mile, 177. See if he pulled anything on the 1.25 miles. 185. Yeah, these guys are going for that 1.25 miles today. Didn't do it yesterday, but a 185, that's a number for a 1.25 miles. Well, the Farmington, Michigan drivers got to be happy with that result. And all the crew members back there, we congratulate you guys on a good run, and gals. Once again, we go through a process. You don't do any kind of other motorsport as far as clearing the track and making sure it's clear. Very, very important to us for your safety. But we're dealing with the distance of a mile. You can't see the end or the beginning. Depending on where you are, you cannot see the other end of it. And so it's very important to have communication, so we're constantly in touch with each other in the tower, on the track, and anything you do starts at one end, goes the other end, back to the first end, then back to the starting line again, and then come into the announcer stand and everything. It's a cycle that they go through, like a computer checking something, but it's all for your safety. It takes just 30 seconds or so to do it, but it's a necessity if we're going to have a good, safe operation here, and that's all about you. We understand the course has been cleared for the next runner to go through. Andrew Wendell out of Farmington was the last to go through. Aaron Brown comes up. Aaron's been around. We've seen this guy a couple of times. It's a 2018 Ford Fusion NASCAR stock car, and runs with Performance Plus, Safety Clean, SRI, GearFX, Global K9. Roush Yates motor. Look at this, tucked in and going, boy, pulling hard on the big end, just like the back stretch at Daytona goes through. Bingo! If you're holding the cards, it's a 222.222. It's a winning hand. Look at that, 222. At the mile, he goes 1.25 miles at a 228.021. So I believe Aaron's going to be involved a little bit later. I was telling you about Ralph Shaheen and the Speed Sports crew doing a documentary on the Three Rangers whiskey. I believe that team is going to be involved with them in this documentary. So as soon as I find out, I'll let you more about it. But Aaron's the guy I was telling you about, the kind of instrument comes with a lot of unique vehicles. He's one of these brain guys, okay? He knows how to build. He's a meticulous, detailed guy. He thinks all the time. And he surrounds himself with super crew guys. Man, all his crew members are ex-NASCAR. He's a NASCAR crew member himself, and they're an ex-NASCAR crew member. But it's so neat when you watch them walk somewhere. They all walk along. They're like they're in cadence with you. Like NASCAR teaches you how to walk down the road or something. They all walk together, side by side. Kind of look like they're trying to move troops out of the street or something. And I'm not knocking the guy. I think that's cool. Talking with one of them the other day about the Veterans Motorsport Organization. There is a motorsports geared towards veterans to help them in their livelihood, and it might just be in the motorsporting world. So as soon as I get more information on that, I'll pass it on to you. I think it's very interesting, and we appreciate anybody doing anything, anybody that helps the veterans. We appreciate, and we appreciate the veterans for what you guys did. On the track now, let's go. Fred Vincent, 93 Ford GT50. Out of Grapevine, Texas. Sounds good. Oh, man, 3/4. That's a shame. He had let's get this. He got a faster car in this. He went through the mile to 144.764, and something happened he was at a 138 at the 3/4. He jumped to a 144. That's a good little number to go up. But in doing that, the car made a weird and kind of nosed over. And so I know he had more in him at that mile, but he still pushed it out the back door at 1.25 miles, went a 145. So that little car I tell you what, he may want to look at getting that nose down a little bit on that car. The car looked like it was really lifting on the top end of the track, and maybe that could have been some of the cause. But no smoke, no weird sound or anything. The car just hunkered down a little bit between the no man's land and the 3/4 and the finish line of the mile. Course is clear, ready for the next driver to be coming out. Brian Brooks is going to be coming out. He's out of the great state of Virginia. He's been running a couple of times with us. We got some times on him. Yesterday he had a mile at 168.919. Had a mile and a half at a 171 yesterday, 887. So let's see what we do now. He got a good run going. Looks good, laying down on him. Pulling strong. 137. 153 at the 3/4. 164. Was at the back door to 166. So, yeah, these guys are pushing the limits today. Yesterday, hardly anybody went past the mile marker. We had a lot of guys clicking off yesterday at the 3/4 mile marker, and I guess they were just getting everything ready and squared away. Back in the pit area, like I say, it's kind of a mystery thing going now because the guys from Michigan, they've kind of come out a little bit and shown some of the stuff they have, but they got some heat sitting back in there right on the other side of the taxiway. Them the guys with the big white star and red and blue flag called Texans, and they're waiting to come out. And I thought all the Corvettes in Texas were red. Well, I was wrong. I walked back through the wall ago, and there's some very different color vehicles that look very, very fast that have not been on this track yet. Course has been cleared for the next participant. Let's see what's going to happen. Richard Hayen, Ford GT 500 out of Gainesville, Texas. Go, Richard, go. You got a 1 mile time of 2:01 previously. Let's see what we got here. Half mile went a 161 before. He goes to no, not reading out right. Okay, here we go. Mile time 181.818. Good card hand. 181.818. 3/4 miles of 174, so a 7 mile an hour bump there. And a half mile, we didn't get a time on him there, but he was working it on the other end. Slowed it down to a 169 at the 1.25 miles, but just his choice. Out of Gainesville, Texas. Call him Little Richard. I wonder if he plays the piano. Today? Well, a very important part of motorsports is taking place right now. They're handing out the lunches for the employees. Yeah, it's quiet, and I'm just letting you know why. Now everybody's swapping around. No, I wanted mustard. No, I didn't want onions and everything. A bunch of great volunteers. Enjoy working with you. Let's see what's going down now. Tim Bath, he's been around a while. He's been running hard all, yesterday and today. Sounds good. That's the first time that I've heard him at the rev limiter. He's the guy that tripped me yesterday when he went from the quarter of a mile, 3/4 of a mile, all the way through the mile, no shifting. Man, that little sucker must be, it's a Buell. Of course, it kind of sounds like a Harley type deal. But it's just amazing the RPM and strain they put on these little engines in that 3/4 to a mile distance. I don't know how they do it. I really don't. We'll have to check on that and let you know. This running went a 163.221. Hey, we're checking Tim's time situation. Stay with us on that. We've got to make sure we got him squared away. Here we go. His official time at the end of the 1 mile was a 172.811. Tim went a 172.811. He did go out the back door with a 172, stayed pretty even at an 844. So he drove it out the back door. It was like the Sunday cruise there. He didn't pick up a whole lot of competition. Brian Mason's going to be coming out now in that 2018 Chevrolet Corvette. He's out of Michigan, Stockbridge, Michigan, he calls home. His best time in a mile right now is a 194.553. Sucker looked fast, I'll tell you that. Oh, yeah. 191.002 on the first shot of that vehicle on the mile. 191. At the mile and a quarter, get this, 199.557. He's bad. Brian Mason out of Michigan. He's one of those guys telling you about. All these guys come in kind of little groups or tribes, if you will. He's one of the Michigan tribe. That was the number right there.
So I see it, but it's very low. Now it's gone. So it's big.
Out of Mooresville, North Carolina, 2010 Chevy Corvette. Lewis Pointer, I believe it is, Pointer. $145 at the half, quarter, yeah, half. 162 at the 3/4, 171 at the mile. And a 174 at the mile and a quarter. Definitely pulling power all the way through. He's awful close on his gearing, I'll tell you that right now. 145, 162 up to a 171. He's being smooth at 174 out the back door before he backs off of it. So the Mooresville, North Carolina guys got something kind of figured out. But you got to figure them guys from that town, they got to have a handle on things, the way things are going. A little kid I used to babysit for, Michael Walter, bought a lot of property over in Mooresville. We were talking about it. He was just talking about the people over there. And of course, they rely so much on the motorsports industry. And, you know, the kind of people that are over there and how they're nice and everybody helps each other and everything. And Michael's done well for himself, as his brother Daryl has. As we get ready for Suzuki to come out now, it'll be Steve Whalen coming out. This is one that now Ralph Shaheen, we're talking about him earlier. He's one of the big Suzuki guys. He needs to go to the fence and watch this kid come through. He's a 214 Suzuki Hayabusa. There you go. And if I was riding that thing, you wouldn't be able to hear the bike from me screaming over it. Watch this. This guy put a rundown for you. Half mile to 167. He's coming. He's coming at you. 177 and 3/4 of a mile going on the big end. What does he go through the mile at? 183.076. At the back door, a mile and a quarter at 185.376. So these guys, they're not playing. They're getting that back door situation done. They're getting that mile and a quarter time down. Pat is mile time of 183.76. Mile and a quarter, 185.376. Got to make all the Suzuki people in America happy when you see that happen. Remember, gentlemen and ladies in the pit area, 15 mile an hour maximum, 15 mile an hour for any movement in the pit area. Get a chance to walk around the pit area. It's kind of neat. There's a lot of people here today. I don't know the exact number. I know it's over 100, and I think that's great, and we appreciate you coming and being with us. But you walk down through there and look at that, makes you proud of the sport. I'll tell you that right now. And the fact that it's a new sport and it's growing, that's fantastic. One thing, Steve and CJ, East Coast Timing Association, as Tom Schaefer again comes up. This time on a Ducati. Tucked in, goes to 169 at the end of the mile. Again, that's the fellow I was telling you about that threw a whole bunch of motorcycles in the back of the van, went to Blytheville, Arkansas. That was a Ducati V2 manufactured in Spain. Tom Schaefer doing a good job driving it. We've seen him on Yamaha. We've seen him on Brills, excuse me. Seen him on everything but a Harley hardtail with ape hangers. That guy's been out with everything here today. Good little run, a little bitty bike. Course is clear. We're waiting for the next participant to come out. Schaefer's got his shot in. He'll cool down a little bit as Devin Taylor comes out now. The 2014 VW. Now this is a different vehicle. This is kind of neat. This is why I like the sport. This guy went a different way, but he's still chasing the same thing. It's time, speed. And Devin laid down some numbers yesterday. Really neat. He went on a 3/4. Well, he had problems. Oh, here's the deal. He went a half mile at a 146. 3/4 mile back to a 123. So after the half mile, he lost something. 123 and then 177. Let's see what he does now. Mile an hour at a half mile, 222. Let's see, I'm waiting for my numbers. Okay, a 182 at the 3/4 mile, 193 at the mile. The number he's looking for is a 193.175. Backed as soon as he went through the mile, he backed off the throttle, only a 177 at the mile and a quarter. But he was shooting for that mile, and it looks like he definitely got it. He's going to be able to get it. I like to see these guys get close, but man, when they get this close to 200, which seems to be the magic speed in this sport, that's when you start tinkering and doing little things. And it's amazing to get that last couple of mile an hour of it. He's just looking for about 6.9 mile an hour to be in that 200 mile an hour range with that little VW.
It's low, but it's better.
Don't forget all the people making it possible to find people comp cams, anything you need for speed. Really, take care of those guys. Give them a call. They'll take care of you from heads to cranks to anything. Anything you want, they can take care of you over at Comp Cams. speaking of major manufacturers, Tom Cams is located in Memphis, just south there, about 67 miles. Scooter and his crew over there do a always have. I've known them for years, and motorsports I've been involved in has always been there, always helping everybody. Holly, Bill Tishner and his crew, the same thing. They'll work with you, do whatever they can to help you. Jasper Engines and Transmission out of Jasper, Indiana. I want to thank them for their support. They manufacture the biggest remanufacturer of engines in America. They come with a fine guarantee. It's a fine place to work with. They were involved in NASCAR racing and had a lot of success there. But if you want that type of performance and that type of clearance and everything in your engine, give Jasper a call. They also have a transmission division. It's located very close to this facility where we are today. Pat Williamson in a little Porsche making shop. Man, if this car could talk, it's made more world records and everything. When Porsche built this car, they built a car for everything. Look at this. Boom, through the mile. Waiting for the number to come back up. It was a 147 at the half, a 163 at 3/4. So he's climbing. When he went past the 3/4, I was here listening to him. And he was definitely on the other side of 163 heading for that mile marker. We'll wait for the number to come up. It has not come up yet. No, he went to 163, then dropped to a 154 at the mile. And then jumps back up to a 173 at the 1.25 miles. That's strange. 147, he bumps to a 163. 163, bam, he goes back down to a 154. Bam, back up to a 173. So, and I didn't hear any change in that. Did not hear a change in that engine at all when he made that run. Waiting for Martin Miller to make his run, a little 32 Ford hot rod. He's having a ball out here out of St. Paul, Missouri. Listen. If that does not sound like a hot rod, I don't know what a hot rod sounds like. Man, every kid wearing the Levi's with the little rolled up and the white socks and penny loafers, red nylon jacket, T-shirt. Oh, I'm talking about who? James Dean, yeah. That's what it's all about. That's the way it lived, but that's what everybody lived for back then. Everybody came back from the war. They had some stuff. They were all pumped up and ready to go. They bought some belly tanks, put some motors in it, and went racing. Other guys bought old cars off their lots and cut the fenders off of them, like that one you just saw. And it was a thing called hot rodding.